Welcome, Bassstronauts. This is Teal's Bass Galaxy, an endless dimension of fishing legends and degenerates connecting through raw, real, in-person conversations and stories. No, this is not your average fishing podcast. There's no rules, there's no limits. 3, 2, 1, blast off. This podcast is intended for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. Attention all Bassstronauts. This podcast is supported by the Bass Galaxy's title sponsor, Waypoint Angler Supply, the Midwest's new landing pad for hardcore anglers just like you and me. If you're looking for the sneaky goods you can't find anywhere else, look no further. Waypoint Angler Supply has the largest offering of JDM tackle in the Midwest, and they are right here in Minnesota on Lake Minnetonka. This is truly a place every bass fisherman in Minnesota needs to visit because we finally have a tackle shop in the state that's as dreamy as the ones you find down south. And the staff at Waypoint Angler Supply understands the various needs of us anglers, which is why you'll find the selection there so enticing. Ross and the folks at Waypoint Angler Supply are passionate about carrying the right stuff, providing an authentic customer experience, and they listen to the anglers. And it doesn't end at JDM baits. They stock all the top U.S. brands, as well as local Minnesota brands like Veselka Fishing and Customs, Arsenal Fishing, Bait Lab Custom Swim Baits, All Terrain Tackle, Bagley Northland, Outcast Tackle, and more. So stop into their store on Lake Minnetonka or visit their website, waypointanglersupply.com. That's waypointanglersupply.com. In the month of October, use the code GALAXY2403 to save 20% on your next tackle binge. The Bass Galaxy is also supported by Veselka Fishing and Customs, Supreme Lending, Dream Team, Lake Country Insurance Services, My Wedge Motor Support, just north of Memphis, Barbecue and Catering. Thank you. Dude, how's it going? We're in the Ross Kellermeier lair with the man himself of Waypoint Angler Supply. What are you on your third year, fourth year, fifth year?
It's been a year and more than a half. What month is it's October 1st today, isn't it?
Yeah, dude. That's all it's been?
Yeah, a month and a half. Or a year and a half.
A month and a half. Yeah. Dude, time flies. Yeah. I mean, it feels like I forgot you just got here. It seems like you've been ingrained in people's minds as a place now.
Yep.
And I guess, I don't know if we've really shared this or really even got to talk about it, but Ross Kellermeier is a warrior of a bass fisherman, and obviously this all started somewhere with bass fishing. I know the reason I'm sitting here with you right now is because when I was a kid, there was a point in time where I fell in love with the sport of bass fishing. But I guess, where'd you grow up and how did you get introduced to the sport of bass fishing?
Yeah, I grew up in Edina.
Yep.
So there's that.
Sure. Yep. Yep.
But I believe we actually started the first ever school-sanctioned high school fishing team. I think it was 2013, 2014. I think we started the first ever where the school recognized an actual fishing team to be more than just a group of guys. It was actually part of the school. It was actually, I don't know if you know him, Nick Montalino.
I do know that guy.
You know that guy?
That dude's an awesome dude, actually.
Great guy. He started me. He taught me how to throw a wacky worm.
Really? Mm-hmm. Nick Montalino.
Mm-hmm. I owe almost everything I know to him.
Really?
Yeah.
I got introduced. Bankston introduced me to him, and I know he was a force to be reckoned with
Yep.
for what was that school in Murray State,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So how old were you? Because how old are you now?
How old am I? 28.
28.
Yep.
So, first team to start high school bass fishing. How old were you when, Nick kind of introduced you to the sport?
I think we would have been like 9th or 10th graders or something.
Yeah.
This was coming off he won one of the first ever organized high school state fishing tournaments. He won that Gull Lake one.
Okay.
So the year after that, I became his partner. We got really close, started fishing every day together, waking up at 5, skipping school to go fishing, I was skipping like track to go fishing, all that stuff. So
Respectable.
we just became really close partners. He taught me everything: wacky worm, skipping a jig with a baitcaster, flipping, everything.
Huh.
Everything. I mean, I grew up loving fishing, but he dialed me into more bass fishing, just 100% bass fishing. I became a bass fisherman because of him, more than just a fisherman. I became a bass fisherman because of Nick. So
Sure.
yeah, haven't talked to him in a while. I should text him. Haven't talked to him in a while. So
If you do, tell him I say hi.
yeah,
Nick, if you ever listen to this, what's up, dude?
yep.
So it was a wacky worm for you.
Yep.
It's kind of
Yep.
what got started.
Skipping a wacky worm under docks on Tonka.
I love it.
And then we moved on to jig worming, and we moved on to Texas rigging and throwing a football jig out on the whitefish chain. So
sure.
all this stuff, I can vividly remember everything I learned, where it was, and it was all with him, 100%.
Yeah.
So, but that's a guy that if he would go off and do the Bassmaster Opens, he'd make it. I mean, he'd be one that did automatic.
I've heard that about him, and
100%.
I guess I've never fished with him.
He's just got. I mean, what were we, like 14, 15 or whatever? He could have done it back then. Seriously,
it's crazy.
He just has it.
So like high school fishing, you were one of the first teams to participate in that, and I guess I'm 31, but we had the Junior Bassmasters for a while, and this was different than that, right?
Well, yeah, this was the.
Remember what it was? I don't. Yeah.
It was the SAF or the TBF or
Student Angler Federation.
I think it was SAF back then or something. Yeah,
Or
there was like
TBF.
There was like 18 boats in them, and now there's 250. And Gaff was fishing them back then against us, and
Sure.
So, yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's where it started, and over time, we obviously fished in college, fished against Gaff there in college too.
So we're not to interrupt you, but like that love for fishing, it's some guys really take that and like there's a certain level of those high school anglers or younger anglers who are like really serious about it and want to continue doing it, and that's either through living through failure and still loving it, or seeing some success and loving it. I guess, where would you put yourself on that? Were you like as serious as it got as a kid?
Here's what I would say. I'm a pretty good example of failure when it comes to fishing tournaments and being competitive, and that's fine. But I recognized might not be the greatest tournament fisherman ever, blah, blah, whatever.
Sure.
But I recognized that this is the kind of tackle I like to buy, and I like to throw different stuff, and I like to throw weird stuff. And there was never the option to buy any of it in Minnesota, and that's what I keyed in on since high school. It's just the weird stuff I was buying.
Really?
And I've always had that in the back of my mind. It's like, why can't we buy this stuff anywhere?
Do you remember one of the first, some of those weird things were at the time? Because it's always cool looking back, and I can relate with some of that.
First weird bait that I was tracking down was the bull flat. the depths. But this was way back.
When was this?
This had to be, I don't even know, 8-9 years ago. 8-9 years ago.
Almost a decade ago.
Yeah.
You were tracking
them down on eBay,
flat.
paying like $42 a bag or some stupid thing.
Most people hadn't heard bull flat till Charlie said it on
Yep.
our podcast,
Yep.
and it's crazy to think. And I mean, there's a lot of baits that have been around like that
Yep.
a long time. So a bull flat, right? But that was, I mean, that's cool. So you were hunting down stuff
Yep.
like that. What's another one you got? I know you and I talked about one that I remember I saw here, dude, that I'm like, where did you get that? And I think you gave it to me.
Well,
and I think I wouldn't let you give it to me. And I can't remember what it was.
Bellows gill used to be like real hard to find. And it was like, what is that? That was a real,
Yeah,
that was
I
a
remember.
while ago.
I remember that.
That used to be like, you'd see pictures of it come up on, Facebook or Instagram, and you'd go, what is that?
Yeah, dude.
That was a while ago. That was one of the first ones.
I remember I had a pack of cover scats like
Cover scat was one.
6-7 years ago or something.
There was a time when nobody knew what a cover scat was, and it was like a joke. Like, it was funny to like own a pack of cover scats because they were funny.
Oh, it was funny because I threw that pack of
Yep.
cover scats last night.
Well,
that was like 6 years old with all my
Yep.
new ones, and I'm like, just laughing at myself.
Well, people-
like, I
there
can't
was-
believe I've had this long.
People were laughing about heavy poop being on Tackle Warehouse. I remember that. Like when Fish Arrow put heavy poop on Tackle Warehouse, people were buying it because the name was funny.
Oh yeah.
Like, they weren't buying it that just because of that name.
Well, I feel like it almost keeps those baits sneaky a little bit because I feel like as Americans we're a little proud and we just feel
Yep.
like they're trolling us or something.
Yep.
But dude, like the Japanese, that's not just a craze now. That's been going on
Yep.
for a long time.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of the techniques we know today are
Yep.
a lot of the Vision 110's Japanese, So anyway,
It's interesting to think about, is there something right now that's on the market, that's been on the market for 8 or 9 years, that's going to be dug up and turned into the next hottest bait that we don't know about? It's interesting to think about, is there something, well, obviously there is, but what are they over there developing right now that we don't know about that's going to be the next Sakamata shad or the next dice or the next gill or whatever? It's
totally, dude.
and there's something over there that's been out for 10 years that we don't know about.
Oh yeah, dude. Think about a Sakamata shad. Everybody's like, "Oh, JDM, it's way too hard to get." It's like, well, before they told you needed Sakamata shads, you could have got a pile of them all to yourself. But you had to wait till everybody else figured it out.
When we opened up back April 2023, we had a whole row of Sakamata shads. Probably, we had 5 and 6 inch. I remember we had probably like 12 colors of each, right?
Damn.
And it was a fluke back then. Like,
totally.
They were throwing it like a Zoom fluke. Like, they were not ball heading it. It was a fluke, and there people were like, why am I going to pay $12.99 for a fluke?
I bought some of the big ones 6 years ago for Florida because they like a weightless fluke in Florida. Well, they're the heavyweights. They're not ideal on the jig head now, but it's like, man, it's crazy.
Yep.
But I like the point you made about like tournament angler, and I think people maybe get it twisted on my viewpoints with this because I love that you own that as a human being, because I've met a lot of damn good fishermen that like the tournament thing's not their thing. Like, I'm just going to say it. It doesn't mean it's not that you're a bad fisherman. And I also think you're a little bit humble about yourself as a tournament angler too, because I'm sure there's plenty of good finishes you've had that you just maybe won't talk about. Yeah. So I guess without selling you short as a tournament angler, I think there's a lot of people that get out of the sport because they think that's what they need to be if they want to go bass fishing. And I think that's an incorrect way of thinking. I mean, that sport is, as you mentioned, is creative, vast, and endless. as it gets, and some of the tinkering and playing and enjoying the water and learning new things is one of the most fun parts of fishing. And to say that fishing has to be a certain way, or bass fishing has to be competitive and that's all it has to be, nah, dude, it's an art form.
Yep.
And I think if there's anybody who can attest to that, it's like that Japanese culture that's built the lures that, you know, you guys specialize in. Those guys, like the looking at a bank and figuring out the best mousetrap to pick apart that bank based on the amount of pressure, the time of year, the water temperature, or just playing around with the bait to figure out its nuances to maybe figure out when to unload it as a weapon.
Yep.
I mean, that's part of the frolicking, I would call it, through the forest that makes us fishermen.
Yep.
And the competitive drive, you don't have to be a tournament angler to be a damn good bass angler.
Yep.
And, you know, the water's there for all of us to enjoy it. So I think I'm glad you brought that up, because I think there's a lot of people coming into this sport, hundreds of high school anglers.
Yep.
And if all of those are going to be tournament anglers, you're going to have a lot of burnt out and broke fishermen on your hands.
Yep.
And I think, you know, the sport is a lot bigger than tournament fishing. And I think the clientele you guys cater to is a lot bigger than tournament fishing. I guess how many of the clients who are bass fishermen, I guess how many of those guys would you say are, I would say you cater to hardcore tournament anglers, but I'd be curious just based on like how many people you see coming through the door. There's a lot of damn good anglers that could whip your ass on a Sunday if you hopped in the boat with them, but don't enter tournaments.
Yep. I would say 90% of them that come in the doors are tournament anglers.
Tournament.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep.
And I would have thought there'd be a few more guys that just love. I guess you've got a lot of league night guys and a lot of people that's
some way, some form they're fishing a tournament.
Sure.
I mean, yeah.
Gotta get that crack.
Yep.
I don't know. So you went to college after that?
Yep.
BSU?
Yep.
Okay. College fishing then. So you're doing high school fishing. You're like, I'm gonna do college fishing.
Yep. That sucked.
Really? Yeah.
It was hard going from fishing 18 boat high school tournaments to 200 boat college tournaments on Kentucky Lake, but like high school, it's such a weird thing, because like now high school anglers have a 200 or 250 boat tournament in high school, so maybe they're more prepared for that now. I don't know. It's tough now. Like fishing used to be lame.
Yeah. No.
I kind of miss when you were like, oh, you fish, you're lame. Like now, like it's not lame, and like
I mean,
just so much
it's not like guys wearing their fishing jerseys down the hall picking up chicks cool either yet, though.
I don't know about that. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not like a football jersey.
I don't
cool
know.
Yet.
Jay Carlson in a fishing jersey walking down the street might
Street's
get a
different.
Whistles.
Talk to kids and they're, you know, what girls like at that age, I don't know anymore. They like cats, I think, from what I've been told, but I think was it more so the number of anglers, or was it the bodies of water? Because to me,
it was recognizing that Minnesota fishing didn't translate over to the southern fishing. We got frickin' wailed on. Like we were like, what the hell are we doing bad? Yeah.
That's, I think, the problem, I think, a little bit with it is, like, if you're a hell of an angler and you choose Duluth like I did, or Bemidji, granted, the BSU fishing team, I think,
they're still a thing.
They turned out to be all right. Yep. And there was, I think, a bracket up in Bemidji. So they have come to our turf.
Yep.
They picked the biggest shithole in the state, but they came to our turf.
Yep.
I think Jacob Fouts won that.
But getting the school to recognize you as a team is, I don't even know if I still don't know if the school even cares anymore. I mean,
We were a club, and
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
we got funding, but we couldn't use it for gas. It's like, what?
Yep.
That's like our number one expense
Yep.
to get to these events is
Yep.
gas.
Yep.
Like, I had lodging figured out the back of my vehicle. I need to get, like, so it was tough to go compete at those. You couldn't practice. You didn't know what a freaking Highland Reservoir was.
Yep.
And you're up against locals who's pretty up to snuff on the Highland Reservoir deal. Not that you can't learn, but it, like, you almost got to go to school down there to have a shot.
But it's more. It's about more than that, though. It was our group, our team traveling down there together. We're staying in tents. We're getting flooded out in the like thunderstorms, or we're at. I was down like Prairie du Chien. Like we almost died because the tree our tent was on got struck by lightning.
Holy shit!
Like go to Kentucky Lake in like early March in a tent on gravel, and then it's like 28 degrees at night, and we had to camp. And then, so that night at Kentucky Lake, I think it was Kentucky Lake, where our batteries, like, we woke up in the morning and our batteries were frozen solid. From, like, driving from, Toledo Bend, that's where it was. We drove down to Toledo in the middle of winter. Our batteries, like, froze in transit when we got down there. Again, we're camping once we get down there.
Yeah, yeah.
And we woke up the next morning, our batteries were frozen solid, so we had to go spend $600 on new batteries for my partner's boat. It's about the experience.
Totally.
It's an experience.
It's the experience.
Who cares if you don't catch any fish? You're having fun.
Totally. Well, I mean, Mark Shirley and James did it, and I know they, like, it wasn't, I don't know if anybody ever did that good from Duluth. I could never afford to go.
I never asked Gaff how his...
For me, it
he
was
did
like,
pretty well.
It's going to cost me X amount to go. If I do well,
Yep.
I don't even get money.
Yep.
It goes, you know what I mean? Like, it for me, I'm like, I can't justify affording to go if I want to fish these local tournaments in the summer.
Yep.
Burning up that money and I can't get any of it back.
But for me, it's I mean, you care how you do, but you're like, you know what? If you don't do well, we had fun. Whatever. Life goes on, right? Like,
I'm learning to be better with that. That's hard. It's hard for me.
Just go with the flow. I don't know.
I like that.
I don't know.
Just throw the poop.
Yeah, just throw the poop, but we didn't have poop back then. So I wish I did, though. Like, I wish I had some of that back then.
Don't you wish you knew now?
Yeah.
If you had a time machine in bass fishing, it would be so fun. Like, well, okay, if you had a time machine in bass fishing, there's so many things I would do. Like, I think I would stroll a Sakamata shad without scope and just still mess them up. I think you would still mess them up.
Yep.
Like you did on the VTS5 that one day.
Yep.
Like you were scoping nothing. You're throwing a VTS5 on an 1/8 ounce jig head at the bank, shaking it back and catching them.
Yep.
Like, that was badass.
Yep.
And I learned something from you that day, and I've heard some guys talk about that since then. Kyle Wood brought it up to me. A couple other guys where they almost like shaking a minnow off scope just as much as on.
Yep.
And that's what I'm curious about, how much of a world or a can of worms we've opened up there. And that jig head you showed me earlier was sexy. Did I lose that?
I don't know. It's probably in your pocket, huh?
I wish. If I was smart, I'd put it in my pocket. If there's a lighter, it'd be in my pocket. What's that noise?
Helicopter. We're picking up a helicopter.
The British are coming. What are they dropping for us?
I don't know.
More bellows kits?
Hopefully. Where did that go?
Dude, I probably said it somewhere stupid, but
We'll find it.
we'll find it. But fishing is about the experience, and I think like the road I think that's something you take for granted a little bit when you're ultra. If you're like as competitive as I have, like, you know, enjoying the ride is hard when you want a certain result or you want to get there, or, you know, you want the store to be wherever it is and it's not, but yet here we are. spinning around on this big bally thing every day, and you can decide to enjoy it, or you can decide to hate it.
You wanted a fishing store to be on the shores of Lake Minnetonka, and we got one.
So we've learned kind of how you got into bass fishing.
Yep.
Which I think we've all fallen victim to that. But like you mentioned, not the tournament. Like for me, this is the part I guess I'm curious about, because I think I'm a little different. Tournament fishing was all I could think and dream about. And it sounds like that was a little bit different for you earlier. You realized that maybe wasn't like your path forward at an earlier age, I guess. Talk to me about that, because I guess I can't relate with that. Like where when you started to think, I just enjoy doing this, what did you see?
I guess fishing to me was, I'm okay just going and having fun. Like, what?
It's supposed to be fun, right?
It's supposed to be fun, yeah. And I took that and went to school and said, I want to turn this fishing thing into something that I can do for the rest of my life and fill some needs that we, particularly in Minnesota, don't have. Every school project report, business plan, every fake business plan. Yeah, I'll have one more. Every little bit, those stupid business plans they make you write up.
I'll try one of these.
Yeah. It was legitimately fishing tackle store on Lake Minnetonka. Like, I'm not even kidding. I have probably 25 of them.
Wait.
Yeah.
We talking college projects?
Yeah. Every one of them, like they would say, you had to like make like a business and present it, and it was always fishing tackle store on Lake Minnetonka. Every one of them, I probably have a bunch of copies of them inside. Like.
So you've had the idea to own a tackle store on Lake Minnetonka for a decade,
at
least.
Yeah, at least. But I had to do Sarah's homework, so she was a super senior in college.
So you and her met in college.
We met on Hinge after college.
Okay.
So,
yep.
She was doing some online classes, super senior style.
Hell yeah.
Didn't want to do her homework, so I decided I was going to do it for her. Situation popped up where she had to make a business, so I did fishing tackle store on Lake Minnetonka for her as well. Except hers was actually a boat on Lake Minnetonka, pontoon style, loaded up with fishing tackle, driving around the lake with a big flag that says fishing tackle for sale, and you'd boat up to the pontoon. So that might be a thing someday. We have to get the Lake Minnetonka Conservation District on board, but that'd be kind of cool.
I love that. So, like, fishing tackle, like, did you kind of know that in high school that you wanted to sell fishing tackle?
No, in high school I wanted to be a DNR officer, game warden, maybe not game warden, but like aquatic biologist. So I went to school for aquatic biology.
Did you think that was a dumb question towards the end of your high school career too? What are you going to be? What are you going to do? What are you going to be?
Well, I just picked.
What are you going to do?
I thought that's like legitimately, I was going to go do that. And then I went to college and I took one. You had to take like level 2 chemistry and genetics. And I was like, nope.
Yeah, fuck that.
Nope.
So you originally went to school to become a DNR
I wanted to become
officer.
a fish, yeah.
I respect that.
I want to be one with the fish.
I do too, but I don't want to do chem or bio.
Yeah, genetics.
Genetics.
And like
classes aren't
protons and neutrons and electrons. You can't even see those. Like, I still don't know what they are.
I like learning about the vast, like, I like exploring concepts like that at like the, normal person level.
Yep.
But if we just have to look at an atom and a microscope and think that small about something, and I don't understand the big picture enough, it's
that was the problem. Was I wanted let's get to the fish, let's get to the milfoil, let's get to the bass, let's get to the smallmouth on the rock pile, and you had to get through all the other stuff.
Like, you're still talking about pH levels
to get there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do all that to get there. I don't know. So then I said, fishing tackle store. That's what it's going to be.
So then, did you change your major at all? Most tournament anglers and guides are not covered fully or properly. Most insurance policies don't cover exposure due to tournaments and guiding. Taking the chance of using the wrong insurance gives the insurance company an out when settling a claim. How will the insurance company know that you're fishing tournaments or guiding? Well, social media is their number one resource. And guess what? They use it. Lake Country Insurance offers one of the only products that can cover both tournament and guiding use in your vessel. Anglers don't seem to hesitate spending $50,000 to $100,000 for a boat. Why risk that large asset, all because you wanted to save a few extra shekels? Are you nuts? Call the folks at Lake Country Insurance today and make sure you have the proper coverage for your boat before the unexpected happens. Call 612-285-3113 today or visit their website, lcisagency.com. That's lcisagency.com. It's been confirmed. Aliens from another planet have landed on Earth. Sources say there's been 2 confirmed landing points for these extraterrestrial beings, one being Japan, and also, unexpectedly, in Minnesota at Waypoint Angler Supply, a local tackle shop on Lake Minnetonka. With the ever-expanding universe, it's no surprise that there are other planets out there that also share our love for the sport of bass fishing. And to Earth's surprise, this latest visit came from extraterrestrial fishermen light years away and many innovations ahead when it comes to fishing equipment. Some hypothesize these beings came from the planet of Naboo, matching up with Mayan folklore dating back thousands of years with fishing equipment ahead of their time. It has been confirmed they left things never seen before by an Earth-born bass. Waypoint Angler Supply is the premier space station in the bass galaxy and has tackle that could previously only be found in Japan or the planet of Naboo. The Waypoint ship is full, but we don't know when the bassstronauts from Naboo will be back. So hurry in to Waypoint Angler Supply today and stock up on that Area 51 Planet of Naboo JDM good before your buddy is whooping that sweet ass of yours. Stop into their store on Lake Minnetonka or visit their website, waypointanglersupply.com. That's waypointanglersupply.com. Use the code Galaxy2403 to save 20% on your next tackle binge.
Yes, so my major ended up business, entrepreneurship, and management, and a minor in aquatic biology.
Love that.
So I'm still one with the fish, just in a different way.
That, dude, and that makes sense, man. I didn't know that. Like the fact that was your college project, you talk about like
it was like second nature. They're like, what drop a plan for business and present it, and I was like, done, I got it. And then there's all these twists, everyone would have a different twist, and Sarah's had the pontoon with this boat full of tackle, and just ideas.
That's some existential shit.
Just ideas.
But like that's where it all starts, right? Okay. So you get through college, and then what? You decide, man, can't just open a tackle store right away.
Yep. I think in April or May, I reached out to Dean and was like, hey, this is what I went to school for. I need a job out of college. I walked in there like the Monday after we graduated, and he hired me on the spot, like immediately. He's like, yeah, can't pay you much, like $8 an hour, but we'll take you.
And for those who don't know who Dean is, he's talking about the Dean Capra, previous owner of Capra's. So you started at Capra's.
Yep.
Started at the bottom.
Yeah, but he treated me like I was, I wouldn't say I was on the bottom. He treated me like, he really valued me. Like I can't even stress that enough. Like he always made me feel very, very valued, and he wanted my opinions, and he trusted me. Like, yeah, I can't even explain how, he just made me feel very valued.
Well, you showed value probably in that, he probably was hopefully reciprocating in that. But I guess how many people were working there when you started, and I guess what was the tackle world or the fishing market like? I guess when you got into that,
was the tackle market.
Yeah, dude.
Like that was your option. It was Capras or I
Internet.
It was like Gander Mountain back then.
Totally.
Like that's where you could go to EP Gander or you could go to Capras. Like that was your option.
Capras had the best selection in the state, and I guess coming from, where I'm from is Capras in the cities, and Christofferson's in Alexandria were like the two cool spots when I was, at the time.
Yep.
Now that you mention it.
Yep.
And Dean's always been an avid tournament angler, so I feel like you got to see him, whether he put it on the shelves or not, dealing with ordering stuff that you wouldn't find if you worked at your average, sporting goods store.
Yeah, and running around with his head cut off, reordering, making sure that one customer gets his one pack of 3/8 tungsten Picasso bullet weights that he ordered, like one of them, just all the special orders and keeping things in stock, new items that we've never seen before. Yeah, it was all that. So, yeah.
So it's kind of a crash course for you
Yeah.
on like, because he would have what I would call is like the first kind of pro shop,
Yep.
if you will, up here.
Yep.
Kind of that vibe where you had an angler who's the owner,
Yep.
right? And really just catering to anglers.
Yep.
Angler for anglers. Anglers like to buy from anglers who know what the hell to stock.
Yep.
So I guess how long did you work at Capras over your span? And I guess did you see a lot of changes throughout your time there?
No, there was no changes since day one that I started there. I mean, none. I mean, till the end when he sold it, but no, it was his way, 100%, doing his thing every day. Like it was just he kept that thing running like insanely. I don't even know. Like he was just like on, like it was just on like autopilot. Like it just ran itself.
Interesting.
Like I don't know.
Like he wasn't running, but it was running? Or was he like stuff reordered itself? Like
No, because he did all that, but you didn't really see it because he's running around so fast. I don't know.
Okay. But he had obviously a system that had worked for him.
He had his own system, yes.
What about your role? And I guess did your role change, or did your kind of level of
I think I was always his number 2 guy from the start. Like, just seemed like he went to me for everything. Every important customer he wanted me to deal with it. He put a lot of responsibility in me. He had a lot of trust in me.
Sure.
So he just had it dialed. Like he just had it dialed. There's no other way to explain it.
He did have it dialed. And it's kind of crazy to see where it's at now.
And it had that like personal touch. Like I said, he'll order one pack of tungsten 3/8 bullet weights for you if that's what you want to. If you've got some specific brand or whatever that you want to order, he'll order it for you. You can't go to Cabela's and do that.
Right.
That's kind of what I think that a lot of that's what he thrived on, was that personal. You go in, and he had to talk to every single customer because they all want to say hi and they all want to tell him a story, and
Right.
So
that's crazy, man. And what's the biggest thing you learned about running a good tackle store?
Customer service.
Everything.
Customer service. 100%. Being personable, welcoming. That's what it comes down to. You have to have a good crew. If you don't have good employees, you don't have anything.
No, that's a fact, dude. People buy from people, and
Yep.
you know, dude, I think that's awesome. But
Yep.
and then I guess calling the white elephant in the room a little bit. Obviously, your college projects said tackle shop on Lake Minnetonka, but did kind of working at that tackle shop
Yep.
give you other dreams or aspirations?
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of, you want to take this to the next level. I want to have a little bit more than just what we always have done.
Yep.
But I mean, at the end of the day, he had his opportunity come up. I had mine, and me and him are. I call him once a week. I mean, we're still good buddies, and yeah.
It's awesome. So there, I mean, at first was it a little bit, I guess, was your dream to own cappers before you opened up Waypoint?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we were talking about it for, I don't know, year and a half, probably at the end there. So it was in the back of my mind for a while, and you know, a lot of that, a lot of, you could take what you learned and apply it to something else because of what you learned. This is, you know, what you want to do, and a lot of it you learned, that's not how I would do that. So,
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a learning experience.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get that experience at Shields. You're not going to get that experience at Cabela's, and you're just not. I mean, you can call Shields and them a pro shop, but I mean, I don't want to buy a fishing tackle from somebody who's in the men's shoes section at 3:00 on a Thursday. Like
I don't disagree.
It's that meme that, like, I know more than you. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You don't want to shop there.
I think, well, it's clear anybody who's been into your shop, I think first thing you can tell when you walk in immediately is it's not Shields.
Yep.
It's not Cappers. It's not any place you've ever been. It is Waypoint Angler Supply.
And Capras would be Capras, and Waypoint would be Waypoint, and you would coexist.
Totally.
To this day, 100%.
You would.
No question.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and then, so starting a tackle shop, you got to learn how to work in one, I guess. Did you think it would be as, like, were there hurdles that you weren't prepared for once you became, when you were now the owner instead of employee of a tackle shop? You learned a lot probably working for Dean, but you probably learned a lot about what Dean had to deal with that you didn't see once you didn't work for him.
He's so he doesn't hide his emotions.
No.
So you
like
see
that about him.
You see he gets 90 calls a day. I'm prepared for that. You see God, he won't stop texting me. You see that. So okay, I'm going to get 100 phone calls a day. I'm going to get 100 texts a day that I'm not going to get back to. You're going to see the phone calls that come in, people that want to sell you stuff that you want to buy. You're going to see
everybody asking you to sponsor them.
The sponsorships and Wrap My Boat, and I don't know. I think I was pretty. I kind of saw it all in just experiencing most of the same stuff, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep people happy. It's not that hard.
It's a good way to live. I think
it's not that hard to just keep somebody happy. Be nice.
Yeah, life doesn't have to be complicated when it comes to dealing with people. People are pretty simple.
I mean,
at the end of the day, I am anyway. Bass fishing, food, sleep, friends, family.
Yeah.
happiness.
I mean, come in and talk to Jay about just bass fishing.
Oh, it's
He's like the happiest guy ever.
Oh, for sure.
Unless bring up Lake Minnetonka. Don't do that. Don't talk about Tonka with Jay. Makes him kind of sad and angry.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that lake very much.
No. It's a hard lake to love. It's a hard lake to love.
Yep.
It's a hard lake to love, but that lake will make you a man.
Yep.
It'll make you a boy. It'll make you feel like a boy.
No, it's
if you're willing to let it, it'll turn you into a man.
Yep. Oh, it's funny. We knew we were gonna have Jay when we opened up, and we knew we were gonna have Willie, and Eric kind of came through at the last second without. And he reached out, and so we added him in at the last second. But we have the same crew since we opened. We haven't added or subtracted anyone. I mean, well, we added Dale.
I like Dale.
Dale's cool.
Yep.
Dale is his own breed, but same crew since we opened, and they've all got their own thing.
For sure.
Everybody's got their own thing.
Gaff's a swim bait guy, like loves the swim baits and spinning pole techniques, maybe.
He's a big. We actually were tugging on. Willie and I were tugging on his drag today because he keeps it real tight. He's a real tight drag guy.
Really.
So yeah, we learn new stuff about each other every day, about the way we fish and the way that we are, and everybody fishes differently. All of us. Like, it's weird to see somebody throw a lure that you're throwing in a like why are you throwing it on that rod, and why are you throwing it that fast? It's funny. It's funny to learn stuff.
It's kind of what's beautiful about the sport is, and the art form in it, if you will. Shout out to Gaff on his big co-angler win, by the way, this year. I know he works hard at it, and he's been after that for a while, so I know that meant a lot to him. And dude, well earned, buddy. Shout out Gaff.
We've got his trophy at the shop on display. So.
Glass case at that for him.
Yep. Actually,
I'm proud of you, buddy.
He brought it in. He was so proud. And
did his head fit through the door?
Yeah. He was so proud of it. Gave it to me, and I dropped it. Broke in like 4 pieces.
No way.
But it was all magnetic, so we put it back together.
Okay.
Yeah, the first thing I did was drop the thing.
It was a magnetic trophy, actually?
Yeah, like it was in like 4 pieces, like all magnetized together. So.
Oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I'll have to come see that trophy sometime.
Yeah.
That is cool, man. And you guys seem to make a good crew. Like, you got Jay, who's got, I mean, if you want to hear old stories and just, I mean, a guy who's lived tournament bass fishing throughout its existence, I mean, that's your guy. Willie's always on that.
Willie's a wild cat. I don't know about that guy at all.
I think if I have a style closest to anybody there, it's probably Willie.
He's real dicey.
He's all over the place. I think I don't have style that's dimensional by technique.
Yep.
I'd say I have a style based on how I move the boat, how I dissect water.
Yep.
But I'm like, I want to throw something different. I want to be playing around.
Yep.
Versus, I think Jay's bellows, gill, poop, or a football jig, or a frog, or die, or a DT.
You know, his number one. His number one, probably bait for the last 5-6 years now has been a frickin'. It's got to be a PB&J hula stick on a chartreuse, that Arsenal head. Like that's it for him right now. Yeah.
I mean, that sounds, if we're fishing Tonka, it sounds like that's probably pretty good.
I can't catch fish on that.
I can't on PB&J worms.
No, never.
Jigs, I'll catch them on a PB&J jig.
Yep.
You put a PB&J worm in my hand.
Yep.
I don't know.
Have you?
Tommy catches them on that too.
Yeah, he throws that MM3 Robo Worm. MM3, I think. And Margaret.
Well, I throw that.
Yeah.
That, I mean,
like
hunter.
We got to fish.
That's a winning worm.
We got to fish with him a bunch this year. I think that was in his hand 99.9% of the time.
Yeah, he throws that in a Ned rig.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tommy. How did your juice?
Have you noticed when you come in, there's actually like we have customers that are now friends that have turned into like, I'm just gonna sit here all day and help people.
I love that. Yes,
Like
I've
I don't
noticed
know,
that.
like Lee Butcher.
Yes,
He'll
that
any,
guy is awesome.
Any given day between 9 and noon, Lee's at our dock. What can I help you find? Or, they'll ask, where can I find this? He'll go point him in the right direction. Tell him what they're biting on because, he's got his dock out there. Dwayne Bone, Dwayne?
Yes, I guarantee I've met him, but
Dwayne,
I don't know him.
He'll be there for 5, 6, 7 hours at a time.
Can we just get back to Lee Butcher? Because I love that guy, and he denied me as a podcast guest.
Because he's too humble.
I know. But his stories, I guarantee his stories
he would have
epic.
Great stories. He's just too humble. And that's just...
It's not about peacocking. That's not why I'm making this podcast. Like, you're humble too. I don't consider myself a cocky person. That's not what it's about. I think he's just got a lot to share as far as stories, and that's ultimately like, dude's lived through some stuff.
Yeah. Well, he actually was walking by one day when we were setting up the shop, and he helped me put a bunch of stuff up on the pegs and get organized and hang stuff on the walls. And for probably 2 months, he was helping me do all that stuff. So he's one of the originals.
And you can tell when you meet him, like, salt of the earth human being. Like the most human of humans you can meet.
Plus, diehard Vikings fan. So
is he?
Yeah. That's what we bonded over.
How about them Vikes, Ross?
Yeah.
How about them Vikes, baby?
4-0. And off to what I'm hearing is a very similar start to the 1998 season, which
I saw that today.
I wasn't really... You can't watch Vikings when you're 2.5 or 3 years old and remember them, but I'm told 1998 season all over again.
Wasn't that the Moss season?
Sure.
Sure, we'll go with that. Hopefully it's not like the 1998 season.
Yeah.
You know why?
Because they sucked at the end. Something happened. That's all.
I don't know. But they didn't win the Super Bowl, and that's what they need to do this year.
Wasn't that the field goal, the 1998 field goal miss? I think that's what it was.
Was Gary Anderson the kicker at this time? Somebody messaged me on YouTube about that. I feel like Gary Anderson was a kicker at the time.
Probably.
Gary Anderson loved bass fishing, but I feel like Gary Anderson wouldn't have missed that kick if he's a good bass fisherman. But it happens.
I don't know.
Pressure
I
gets
became
to
a
you.
Vikings fan in 2017 at the Minneapolis Miracle, so that's where it started. So
Dude,
beyond that, it's all a blur.
I'll be honest with you, like, I'm so happy they're 4-0 right now with Sam Darnold, because I'm not a diehard Vikings fan, so I probably don't even, but there's a lot of analysts who get to talk about the Vikings who aren't Vikings fans, so I get to talk about the Vikings too then.
Yep.
I feel like when we let go Case Keenum, that was the wrong move, and I felt like it at the time because it's not about stats.
We learned that with Kirk Cousins.
We've learned that with you gave up a guy who won for a guy who gave stats. That's kind of like how Tim Tebow got outed. He didn't put up stats, but he won games for Colorado when they shouldn't have won, or maybe they should have. But I guess there's nothing I love more than watching like a Sam Darnold come in and a Kirk Cousins not doing as well.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Darnold and Baker Mayfield right now are leading the NFL in touchdown passes.
I think it's Darnold, and then there might be a guy tied.
I think then it's Mayfield after him. So
Yep.
the Carolina Panthers are looking at that and probably not super happy.
I mean, you would know this better than me, but Kirk had just as many threats as Sam had.
Mm-hmm.
Sam's more mobile.
Mm-hmm.
He's more dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
He's got more dog in him.
Mm-hmm.
I like Sam.
I like
on the
him
record.
too.
My question is, if he has a damn good season this year, are they going to fucking Case Keenan him for JJ?
I think if we make the playoffs with Darnold, we'll keep him for another year.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Who they play this weekend?
The Jets in London.
The goddamn Jets.
Yeah, we're gonna smack the Jets.
I feel like we are too.
Smack them like 27-7.
I feel like the Packers were our best test so far.
Yep.
And they weren't the healthiest team.
No.
It's a little concerning.
Yep. No. We learned from that one.
I think so.
We learned from that one. You need a little bit of a wake up call.
For sure.
So now we're gonna go smack the Jets in London.
Go smack the Jets, baby. Go smack the Jets. So, you're a big Vikings fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're, besides my buddy Jut, shout out Jut, you're the biggest Vikings fan I know.
I'm the biggest Vikings fan.
And Josh Chose. Jut, Josh Chose, Ross Kellermeier, top 3 Vikings fans I know. Define a Vikings fan for me. What makes a true diehard Vikings fan? Because to me, they're different than the rest. You guys are hopeless, man.
Scoliosis. That's what it is.
Dude, okay.
Like, I feel like when I talk to the guys at work, for instance, about the Vikings, they're on the same wavelength, but they don't really care if we win or lose. They're just like, yeah, I'll watch the game. But you watch the game if they're winning, if they're losing, if they're in the playoffs. If we went to Detroit last year when we were like 6-11 or whatever last year, we flew to Detroit and went to the game. That's what you do when you're a Vikings fan.
How do you handle loss as a Vikings fan? Because that's like
we've always lost. So what's the difference?
But there's people like diehard Vikings fans where it's like, you get the shots of them at the end of the game, and it's just this guy with some horns on.
Oh, it's sadness.
Like, I don't know who I'm gonna kill first, me or my wife. And it's like, okay, are you expected to grieve like that, or are you expected to callous it off and like you do with fishing? It's fun.
It's perpetual sadness for 48 to 72 hours. Like we were at the playoff game against the Giants when Kirk threw the check down on 4th and 8 or whatever it was. We were at that game in the stadium. We were all at the stadium silent for 45 minutes after the game, and we were just sitting there in silence, just in awe. And they had to kick us out of the game. We're like in this like sad trance of perpetual sadness. But then you get over it after 3 days. Because Viking season's coming up. It's over now, but we're starting back up again. Go to the draft party, draft J.J. McCarthy. You're good to go.
Dude, you just described tournament fishing.
Yeah. See, I think that's why, not that I don't care about tournament fishing, but you know what? Just brush it off. We're okay.
Well, I get that. Right? It's like probably a lot easier to like watch someone else fuck up, their season, and then you just were watching.
Well, I'd be
versus fishing, it's like, damn, I was holding the rod today.
Yep.
God damn it.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, but what I do know is in life there's plenty of losing.
Yep.
And if you're gonna just cry in a hole after every loss forever, no one ever wins.
Yep.
But the Vikes are 4-0. Vikes are 4-0.
Soon to be 5-0.
Soon to be 5-0. Who they got after the Jets?
Bye week.
Whew. And they're gonna get
nice little rest.
Nice rest.
Yep.
Nice siesta.
Yep.
When's Hawkinson back?
They just opened
him?
up like a 21-day practice window for him today, I think. So 3 weeks or so.
Do you think the NFL is scripted?
No.
No? I think it's all a bunch of buffoonery. Mm-hmm. I don't disagree, because I don't think the NFL would ever write the Vikings going 29 up, 29-0 or 28-0 against the Packers. And then
no, not with Darnold.
But then I did believe it that if the Packers came back, they could have scripted that.
Yeah.
But
I could have seen that.
Win, so.
Yep.
Who's the NFL's favorite team? I feel like it's not the Cowboys. Chiefs now. Cowboys are no more.
Well, the Cowboys are supposed to be like America's team, where everybody loves the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, when I was growing up, that's how it was.
But I think everybody hates the Cowboys, so I've never understood that. Like I always thought everybody that talked about the Cowboys is they hate the Cowboys. So I don't know.
The evolution of...
Hey guys, Aaron Teal here with Veselka Fishing and Customs here, and excited to talk to you about my new signature series rod, the Puppet Master. My number one confidence technique is by far offshore power finesse fishing, so we've spent a lot of time and a lot of years creating the perfect bottom contact power finesse rod, specifically designed to fish 3/8 to 3/4 ounce football jigs, tubes, swing heads, dragging a swim bait on the bottom, and any bait that you need to manipulate with your hand and land that fish. This rod is perfect for it. The big thing that we found that was an issue with other rods is they were either too crisp and sensitive, where they were too fast, or they weren't quite sensitive enough and they had the right action. So what Dane built with this rod is the most sensitive bottom contact rod I've ever held in my hands. But the big thing is, on a long cast, it's got the power to drive that hook home, but more importantly, it's got a parabolic action that's going to bend deep down in the rod to make sure that, let's say, football jig or goby tube isn't popping that smallmouth's mouth open and keeping that bait in the back of their head where it belongs, allowing you to have increased leverage and landing more bass. You're going to have to pry this rod from my cold dead hands. This is the Puppet Master. You can find it on veselkafishing.com or at Waypoint Angler Supply. Check them out.
Of dick riding in NFL sports, it was the Cowboys to the Patriots to the Chiefs. Right?
Yep.
Was it? But Cowboys have always been kind of like still. They're like, we're still.
They're always okay.
And now Patriots are like.
Every year's their year. Every year's the Cowboys' year.
Totally. Like Patriots, Tom Brady leaves, they suck for a few years. Now all of a sudden Bill Belichick's got a 19-year-old girlfriend and they suck. Oh my God.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
See you later.
Yep.
Cowboys, I still feel like they're holding on to them nuts.
They suck.
But they do suck. But the commentators, like at the beginning of the year, still like holding on to them nuts.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I think it's because of the market size of Texas. Because, well, I guess they got Houston too. How many pro football teams are in Texas? 2.
Texans, Cowboys.
That's it, right?
I think that's it.
Okay. And then basketball, San Antonio. I don't even know. Like 12?
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Probably 12.
But football, you got to take advice, guy. Like football and bass fishing, you've intertwined those two things.
Yeah, we started to figure that out, how we can have the best of both worlds together in one.
Yep.
So we got to take the Vikings' previous kick returner, Kene Wangu. We got to take him fishing a couple times, once this year and once last year. Actually, we taught him how to fish. He actually had never fished before, so we taught him how to bass fish. So he's on the Jets now. He signed with them.
Okay.
So, but I'm still talking to him, so we'll get him back. And then I'm actually actively talking to some current players, and we're gonna be taking one of them fishing on the bye week. It sounds like.
No way.
So we're gonna have a little bye week fun with one or two of them. Sounds like. So.
Where are you gonna take them?
Tonka.
Why?
I just feel like Minnesota bass fishing. Like that's. If you want to get the experience, that's where you go. Why not? I think is a better question.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, what if you could like put them on 100? I'm not disagreeing with like what you're saying, but like, what if you could put him on 100 and he's like so cool? Like now he's calling like, you know, Addison.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, dude. Or hey, guy. Or however he says it.
Yep.
Ross, just put me on 100.
Yep.
Like, I'm not saying you can't do that on Tonka. I'm just saying I won't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I won't. It is prestigious.
Yep.
It is prestigious. if that's where he wants to go,
Yep.
well, by golly.
Usually when we take them, they're just along for the joyride. They just want to catch a bass or a fish.
I know, but what if like you gave him the poop and they caught 100?
Maybe.
And he's like, I'm quitting football.
Well, then we'll take him to your lake.
Like, no, you can take him. I'm just saying, like, I want that for you.
Yep.
Like, if you could make... Maybe you shouldn't do that to a first stringer. Mm-hmm. You're right. Actually, you should... If it's a first stringer, you don't want him quitting football. You take him to Minnetonka.
Yep.
Minnetonka's a challenge, though, and I feel like you own the right place to be on Lake Minnetonka, because I feel like if there's a place that I've seen firsthand, like that JDM market shine, it's on pressured bass.
Yep.
And there's something to like being able to throw your own deal at a bass. And like it used to be, you only had 12 lures you could throw at a bass if it was 1989, or
Yep.
probably Bill Dance would be like, no, there's 30, whatever. Now, dude, like, I don't know if there's anybody throwing the exact same thing in a bass, or, you know, like your chances of throwing this, like if you want to, as long as you're not just throwing something to throw something, like if you have some intention and there's good reasoning behind what you're doing, you can do anything the hell you want, and
but
bass ain't never need to see it before.
That's what it's come down to now, is everybody's coming in and trying to figure out, and they'll ask like, hey, I saw he was just here, what did he buy? They're trying to buy stuff that somebody else isn't, not because they want to know what he was buying to throw it, but they want to make sure they're not throwing the same thing as anybody else. Like it's what can I throw out here? This is the technique I'm using. I want to throw something, even if one pack of them, I want to throw something that nobody else is throwing. Like that's what it's like. Dwayne,
You're after an edge.
Dwayne that comes in, he's there for 5 hours because he's looking through every single peg for a different color, a different profile, a different vibration, because he wants to find something that nobody else is throwing, and he wants that edge in his tournament fishing, that he can be confident that he's got the spot, but now he wants a bait that the fish haven't seen on it, that nobody else, like.
Dude, it makes sense.
And they'll purposely buy the peg out, like
for defense.
And that's without it being proven. Like they're like, I think this is gonna work, so I'm gonna take 12 of these just so nobody else can get them.
Yeah, dude.
And they're like, if it doesn't work, then I'll have them for whatever next month.
Well,
try them
think
again
about
somewhere
it.
else. But
Spots aren't a secret anymore.
no.
So this is, you brought up a great point. Bass fishing has come down to, can you catch them? Because the map's telling you where the spot is, your side imaging is telling you where the spot is, your live scope's telling you where the bass are. Now it's all about that edge or that ability to make that thing bite. And I've seen it firsthand on Okoboji where throw a Senko in a spot, nothing. Throw a Texas rig, nothing. Throw a cover scat, every cast.
Yep.
Like, or, you know, there's a lot of baits we could probably mention that have, like, the amount of edge you've given people, and tackle is their weapons, but it's all how you use it. To your point.
We've been throwing that cover scat on Tonka all year, like early spring, middle of summer out in 25, 30 feet of water, and now back up shallow again. I mean, like...
Dude, it gets bit out there.
I'm curious to find out if people start throwing it more, if they'll get like used to it or not, like a black and
I
blue.
know, that's
like,
my concern talking about it
Yeah.
with you even, like, is right now I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And it's clear I can go down the bank with
Yep.
it and catch them.
The good thing about a cover scat is, for us that like to throw it, people get really impatient. Like,
Yes,
I don't
they
know,
do.
compared to other baits, I've noticed people come in and go, you told me to buy a couple packs of those, so I did, and I can't catch any fish with it. I threw it for a couple casts, couple minutes, and put it down, and never picked it back up again. They get so impatient with that bait. It's like bizarre to me that you can throw a wacky worm and let it soak for a minute or two, but it seems like people can't be patient with it if they don't get bit with it right away.
That's the magic of the sport for me, and to be honest with you, I had a pack of scats for 6 years, and then all of a sudden now I need them, and I'm almost out, and I need more, and they catch them so good you run out of them. Like,
we just got them coming out of our ears,
dude. I hate even talking about it because, like, God, I feel like I just figured out how deadly it is, and now I'm just.
So how do you tactfully throw it? Like, how are you just letting it do nothing? How do you throw it? Because I got a way I throw it sometimes. I want to compare.
I would say I'm like kind of like a jig, right? I've found like I'm finding more intimacy with the bait. Like at the beginning of or at the end of last year, I would have told you it was a dead sticking cleanup tool.
Agree.
And that's it.
Agree.
After Okaboji this year, I would have said it is a absolute weapon if you've got current and cover and shallow water, and dead sticking it, shaking it a couple times, dead sticking it, popping it, and then reeling it in. But most of your bites coming on that initial fall or dead stick, even when I was doing that retrieve. But then like last night, I just put 2 scats on the deck and a jig, right? Mm-hmm. A 4-inch scat, a 3.5-inch scat, and I'm like, all right, jig, you're up against 2 scats tonight, a 3.5 and a 4.
Yep.
And I'm going to play with these.
Yep.
And I felt like I could do more with the scat than I could a jig by the end of the night. And that 4-inch scat, I could skip easier, get into more places with 25 fluorocarbon. And I noticed like the 3.5-inch, they would eat it on the fall more. But that 4, it almost had enough weight where it seemed like I could pop it in place easier with the 4. And you just shake it on slack line. And 2 of the biggest bites I got in the middle of a tree or in a dock was on that bigger scat, just shaking it on slack, and all of a sudden my lines were running. And they got it choked like a stogie, like Jay would say.
So I'm on the same wavelength with you on a couple things there. And it's interesting because I've asked that question to some other people, and one common denominator I found is everybody says that thing plays in current. I've got like a current seam out on Tonka that's like the only thing in that little seam that you find that they'll eat. Like it's a weird.
That's crazy.
And I think that's got to do with like, because it's a crawfish bait, like it's made to look like a crawfish that's got its claws. It's got to be something to do with that. And there's probably crawfish that sit there in those seams or whatever. But that's
my theory on it is this: in current, they want a Senko style bait, something that the current moves, right? But if you've got current, the Senko doesn't get there quick enough. Right? So the current moves it more than it's supposed to out of the strike zone. Where I found this is in current is the current moves it and makes it look natural. But it still gets to the fish. But on smallmouth, like on St. Croix with that little baby one, dude, I was throwing that engine baby gillfin on a little prop head, a 4-inch Sakamata. But the bait that they bit the best was that baby scat on scope. When they wouldn't eat the minnow, I'd throw that scat and they'd either eat it on the fall. If not, I'd jerk it like a jerk bait on the smallmouth, and they'd follow it, and I'd just repeat till they bit. I caught most of my fish that day.
I've found that,
doing that
same thing fishing for smallmouth, throwing the 3.5 size one.
Really?
They just crush it. Yeah. It fires them up for some reason.
Have you ever had anybody tell you to nose hook the little one?
No, I've put the little one like on the back of a jig and stuff like that, but that's about I've only rigged it weightless and not I guess, a trailer.
Low key, Brad Leitner said some of them smallmouth guys are nose hooking the little one.
I can see that.
Get more action out of it. But I guess for me, it's been, I mean, that 3.5, 3, and 4, just banging shallow.
Yep.
And then fishing current. And then
Yep.
anytime you cover, fishing around cover. Out deep, I've only had it play a little bit, but I've had it play. It's just
Yep.
more of a cleanup tool out deep for me versus like the deal.
So I found out deep, where Jay and I are throwing out 25 feet of water, we put a skirt on the front of it. So we're using a ringed hook, a 4/0 EWG ringed hook,
Yeah.
and we're threading. So you thread the skirt over that ringed eye. So
Really?
thread a skirt over it, and then you put your poop on, throw it out there. And if you do, so Eric taught me, like with a swim bait, half reels.
Oh, yeah.
I just do out deep, just do little half reels, and that gets it. That's it. I do half reel. Just
Dude.
it goes crazy for like a second and then falls back down. Just do I don't pop the rod. I just do half reels with it.
Fuck, dude. We put out some weaponry. We might need. I'll leave it for you. Dude, how's this micro?
So
not bad?
I was concerned when you said it was lime, because I can't drink anything lime. I'm like, ugh.
Oh, shit. Why'd you say yes?
This is probably one of the best freaking alcoholic beverages I've ever had.
Really?
This is so unbelievable.
Glad you like it, dude.
It's crazy.
They got a peach, a raz, and then just a regular, like, beer-flavored micro. But you want another one?
Yeah, one more,
Yeah.
for sure.
So 3rd Street Brew House, they're out of Cold Spring, Minnesota. It's kind of like the town I grew up in. They very like the brewery's been there since I was a kid, like forever. They used to make Glick, but yeah, they're now known as. Oh, I unplugged my headphones. That's all. Big klutzy feet.
I would drink this tailgating for the Vikings games.
Dude, it's light. There's no low carbs. You can save room for wings and burgers and steaks.
I've never liked a lime drink. I would buy these 100%. If I could get this, I'd buy them 100%.
Cheers, brother. Well, that 3rd Street Brew House, Minnesota Gold Micro Lime, there's only 2 grams of carbs. Call your wives. And it tastes good. It's good to mix in a water between the beers. This podcast is brought to you by 3rd Street Brew House, Minnesota Gold Micro Lime, brewed in the finest waters of Cold Spring, Minnesota. Thank you. Ross and Waypoint approved.
Oh, 100%. I'm gonna track these down and buy them.
I'll be honest, dude. You could tell me if you don't like them, but I'm glad you like them. I only brought 4, so we can drive home after we're done drinking them.
Do you have to go to the brewery to get them, or can I get them at like a Total Wine or a liquor store?
You can call me, and I'll just get you some. But yeah, I forget what liquor stores they're in. If you're in the St. Cloud area, they're definitely there. You can order them online. You can go into their brew house. We serve them at the sidebar, the bar I bartend at. And then liquor stores in Minnesota, I would say a lot of them have them. Probably, a lot of them maybe don't too, but you know how it goes.
I'm going to run up there and get some of these.
Yeah, big beer is a big business. It's almost like Bass Pro Shops is like the big beer companies, and they try to keep the little guys out.
There's nothing worse than going to a brewery and it's like all the beer tastes the same. There's no distinguishing factors.
Totally.
Or if it's just meh. No, this is. I will go there now because of this.
It's different. Yeah, and then they'll do some live music Friday nights and whatnot. But I'm glad you like it. The Oktoberfest, I wish I had drank them all. Brett Height and Mike McClellan basically drank me out of those. But that's like a lighter Oktoberfest too. It's not like a super dark Oktoberfest. Like you could actually drink a couple of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, glad you like it, dude. But forget what we were talking about. Oh yeah, hopefully you've all forgotten what we were talking about before that. I would sure appreciate it. But there's been skirt and half reels. Dude, the half reel thing is sneaky, and I feel like a lot of people like us, for example, when we learned how to bass fish, like it's not like we're doing triple trouts or any weird swim bait stuff. So like half reels are something that I've learned the last couple of years.
Yep.
Like just with the swim bait game.
Well, because like I always fish a swim bait, and I'm, you're twitching your rod tip. I was fishing with Eric, and he's like, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm fishing your stupid glide bait that you put in my hand, right? It's like, first of all, you don't need a 300 size Corrado, right? 200 size Corrado, I learned, is better.
Okay.
Lighter, less fatiguey.
Okay.
And then he taught me the half reel thing. You don't have to twitch your rod tip if you can just he's just out there. It's like he's just. Yeah.
I watched Noah do that, and yep, that's how them boys do it.
Yep.
Chicken jig. I mean, a lot of guys will mix that in. Like on a chicken, I like to mix in. Like you'd be surprised at what just you changing how you move your reel, like what it does to your lure. Like I play with that sometimes, and I wonder how much difference it makes with your rod versus your reel. Like glide baits, I feel like it's especially a thing. But I'd be curious, like with the scat, I always wonder, and I'm still kind of learning, what's the right amount of pop, And when you do that half turn, it.
Well, that's what I think it came down to was when I was popping it, it was too much, and I was more so pulling the bait, not snappy enough, and the half reels made it snappy and natural.
Honestly,
and then adding that ringed hook, which gives it even more.
So you like the ringed hook?
Yeah, I think you have to have it for that move. I mean, unless you're gonna go throw it and dead stick it, then it doesn't really matter. But if you're gonna pop it, I think that ringed hook lets it achieve that side to side crazy crawfish action that you don't get if you just use a regular EWG. And I found, especially in the springtime when they like to jump out of 2-3 feet of water, I think that ringed hook keeps them pinned better. I just think it does.
So my thoughts on that are the screw lock. I go through less baits.
I can't use the screw lock. I just can't do that on those baits. I can't.
I do fine with the regular hook too, but not a ringed one because I only get so much gap out of the nose of that bait. So like a regular hook, I can get more. I can re-rig the bait more times if that makes sense. Or a ringed hook or a screw lock, I can get more out of that bait. The thing to me, which would make sense on the stiffer rod, you'd almost need a ringed hook if you have less tip on your rod when you're
because I'm
popping,
using
or how much slack you have in your line, or
I'm using the 844 Veselka Tournament Series, which is a 7-foot heavy. It's a
to me, I feel like I'd want a ringed hook on that too to get the right. Because you know how it is when you're shaking slack, like how much tip delay you have in your rod determines how much rubber banding and movement forward you're getting out of your bait.
Yep.
Shaking it, I don't know. I got more questions than answers, and this bass fishing thing, you got something that works. Yep. No need to overthink it.
Jay came up with the skirting it.
That's
idea.
An interesting one.
That was Jay. Because he saw me catch him out there. He goes, why don't you put a skirt in front of him? Like, because you're not supposed to. He's like, there's nothing that says you're not supposed to.
What does that do to I feel like that deadens the fall. It has to deaden
I don't
the fall.
know.
Like, you know how much that bait glides and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
A skirt's gotta add, like, deadening that fall. The question would be, is a skirt on a dart might be sexier than... To me, it would make the fall worse, but maybe the dart appeal better.
Yeah. He's also skirting he taught me to skirt the bellows gill, too.
Wait. By skirting... You sell this decoy threader that I bought that allows you to pull skirts through baits.
Yep.
So I should have asked, like, when skirting, do you mean pulling skirt through?
No.
Like, and skirting?
No, so we're getting...
Like imakamooshing?
No, so Untamed Tackle now provides us with bulk bass jig skirts,
So you're putting that on the ring.
Throw it on the line, tie your hook on, slide it down onto the eye of that ringed hook. It slides right on.
Yep.
Stays on forever. And we're just sliding it on, so it's engulfing the front of that bait there. So we're not running them through. We're skirting around, the first 3/4 of that bait. And same with the bellows gill. We're doing that same thing where you'll thread the skirt on, tie your weighted 4/0 1/8 ounce weighted hook, put your gill on, and then slide that skirt on the eye.
So skirt's up here, not down here.
Correct.
Okay.
It's not touching the bait. It's wrapped around the hook.
I feel like that skirt falls like, how's that bait falls like this? Mm-hmm. Is that skirt? I feel like, does it stay?
I think it's a little ugly on the fall. I think it flattens out on the fall, but once it hits the bottom, we tested both that and the gill in our tank at the store. Once they hit the bottom, that untamed, real fine skirt material poofs up a little bit, opens up to revealing that beautiful poop-looking bait. That's gotta be what it is. It's when it hits the bottom, it opens up. Same with the gill. Gill works really good in certain scenarios when you want to put a skirt on it.
In the front of it? Well, I mean, that gill as a jig trailer is good to me.
Yep.
And to me, that's an underutilized deal with that. Some of them gill baits, but yeah, dude, there's a lot of gravity baits that have come out though, and I think we're gonna get off the cover scat train and talk about. I mean, there's a lot of other good gravity baits. The Imokamushi is, sold out everywhere all the time, and that's, arguably also a good one.
It's funny.
Yamatanuki, guys love the Yamatanuki.
It's funny because, like, when those Imokamushis drop, they're gone in a day to a week.
Right.
But cover scats, they just live and get sneakily bought almost.
Yeah. Seems like they're never exactly everything I need when I want them. I love those things, man.
Fish Arrow. The Fish Arrow Heavy Poop's a good one. They're all good.
That 3-inch Fish Arrow.
Yeah.
The 3/8 good too?
I prefer the 3/8, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I prefer that bigger one.
Well, speaking of poop, I gotta pee. Yeah, gravity baits. What else? You got all kinds of new stuff. That's probably one of my favorite things about talking to you is you got something new cooked up all the time, and it's probably tough to keep up with all the stuff, but you seem to be the best at doing it that I've seen. I guess gravity baits are something that I underappreciated, like slept on, if you will, for longer than I should, and even though I bought them early on, and gill baits too, I bought them early on, but slept on them, and now, like, gravity baits, gill baits, like, it's weird to me that Japan had to bring us gill baits. Like, are bluegills even in Japan? They got I don't even know if they have bluegills in Japan, but it was like, all of a sudden, like, these gill baits are coming out, and you guys have, how many bellows gills do you think you've sold since inception? Is that your number one selling soft plastic in the whole store, would you say?
Bellows gill probably is number one, I would say. Yeah, probably bellows gill, cover scat, bull flat does really well. Yeah, which is another gill style, but yeah, probably number one bait would probably be the 3.8 bellows gill. Yeah.
How about that bull flat? I know Charlie taught us how to rig it that one time, but I guess how are you seeing other guys fish it and, like, continue to buy it, continue to fish it that way?
I would say 90% of them are 3/8 Texas rigging them.
Really? Flipping that bait.
So I fished a Bassmaster Open as a co-angler with Seiji Kato.
No way.
Yeah, it was Seiji Kato, and he was throwing it. He happened to be throwing it that day, and he was throwing it on that 3/8 Texas rig out in 15 to 20 feet of water. Like brush piles and offshore rock and offshore timber, and He did really, really well that day on it. But yeah, he was dragging a Texas rig out deep with a bow flat. Yep. I've still, and he gave me a couple, and I picked up a couple of his used ones off the bottom of his deck. I still got them.
That's crazy. That's all.
Hey guys, Gaff with Waypoint Angler Supply here. Just wanted to highlight the fact that we have the big bass resource right here. Obviously, everybody in Minnesota knows about Kitex and the littler swim baits like these bait labs here. But we're here to have the big baits here in the store. We got Huddlestons, we've got the dangerous swim baits, the jointed claw glide baits, and the bull shooter glide baits. But it's not only the baits. We've got big rods, big reels, big line, and all that good stuff for you guys to go ahead and chase your biggest fish of your life. So swing on into Waypoint Angler Supply and get hooked up with the biggest tackle around.
They're like those are like, back when they were like the OG bull flat, nobody knew about them. So
well, now there's been like, so you're probably selling bellows gills like crazy, but you and I both know there's some sleeper gills on the market. I guess I've got a few that I like, but care to open any of those cans of worms? You got any? What's been some sleeper gill baits? I know. Oh, I know that one. I like that one. That one. So this is like, I like this one. I know how I fish this lure, and I've found a lot of love for this lure. But I guess the guys who are coming in buying them, or what have you been seeing?
They don't say shit. The ones that buy them. No, they don't.
They just buy them.
Are you more familiar with the 3-inch or the 4-inch?
Both.
Because I'm pretty much only familiar with the 4.7.
4.7 is less diverse, but equally lethal.
Yep.
In the size of bites it gets.
I was a little afraid because it's a little bit bigger than that 3.8 bellows, but I would say it gets just as many bites, and they're all big. I mean,
they're all big.
I throw on a 5/0 3/16 weighted swim bait hook. I mean, pretty much skip it around docks.
Yeah, dude.
So
it's a big bite getter to me, and on a big profile jig, beefing up a jig is where, like, if you're throwing like a map or a 01 or AT, bigger profile jig trailer is, because what I found when I first held it, I'm like, man, that thing's kind of heavy, but it's really balanced out to the point where I put it on the bottom with the jig, and that it stands up pretty good. Like, that tail doesn't waddle over itself. It dangles there, like, just how when you're pulling that jig, just how you want it to.
Do you put that size, that 4.7 on the back of a jig?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
That 01 and map. And then I put the littler one on AT.
So one thing I have heard about that particular bait is they're throwing on a rugby jig out deep on Tonka.
Oh, I could see that being gangster. It wouldn't have been how I would have thought to throw it, but I believe it.
Yep.
I was surprised at its weightless appeal, and I should free rig it more, to be honest. I feel like it would be probably pretty deadly on a free rig because the movement is extremely, extremely realistic.
Yep.
You guys sell more of the smaller or the bigger one? I suppose the big gill thing is kind of your certain guys.
I think particularly where we are, guys are looking for big bites. They're mainly buying the 4.7, but I think the guys from all over the country are buying the little one.
Sure.
But I think our guys, I mean, they're fishing Denny's trying to get a bigger fish, so they're buying that one.
Makes perfect sense. So this has kind of been that sleeper staple, if you will.
Yeah.
Raid Hero Taylor. They got some nice colors for these too, but it's a sneaky one. I feel like it'd be a little more durable. I haven't Texas rigged it a bunch, but I feel like it'd be a touch more durable than a gill. Like that gill on a screw lock's pretty durable, but this on a regular hook, I feel like be more durable.
Yeah.
Be more durable. You got any other gill baits? No, like that gimme, can't get those hardly, but
3.5 gimmies we've got. I think we've got quite a few of the 3.5, and I got some 4.5s on the way. But 4.5,
I haven't played with the 4.5 yet.
when that one was announced that it was coming, it almost like guys are gravitating from that 3.5 to a 4.5. They're like, man, I don't want the 3.5. I want the 4.5. I think that's interesting. I like that little 3.5 size, but
That's all I've thrown, and I
yeah.
love that thing.
Yeah.
Sea rig, free rig,
I haven't.
jig, trailer.
I never did get to throw the 4.5 because we sold out of them in like 2 seconds. But
Classic.
we got them coming. So
Nice. Well, I got to tell you, I mean, people can talk about a Sakamata shad all they want, but that VTS5 you guys brought in is a sleeper, and I don't know if those will be coming back, but Daddy liked those.
they're coming back. I was buying some fishing tackle from a guy over in Japan, and he said this is a really popular seller over here. People are they like the Sakamata shad, but he said you should try to bring in the VTS5 to your customers because he said I think you'll like it even more.
Be honest, that thing's a killer, man.
So he sent us, a pack to try, and we took. It was pretty close to that day that you and I went and filmed that video. That was when we just started, first time we ever got them, and I think that effortless rolling, like deep rolling action you get out of it is
dude,
it's kind of unmatched, especially for that. It's a 5-inch, but it's a big 5-inch.
it's a big beefy bait.
Yeah.
But it seems like you barely have to move your rod and it rolls. And it seems like if you, like it's that BR rough fish that you can't get the heads anymore, whatever. The BR fish, how it's got the mixed in.
Yep.
I feel like that VTS 5 on like the slightest shakes, gonna wah, 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 wah. And then if you pop, it, wah, wah. And then back to wah, 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 wah. And that's something I haven't seen another soft plastic do. And if you look at like the chin of it, it's kind of rounded, right?
Yep.
And I think that's what makes it do that. And I guess in the videos you see guys using that weightless, but like that jig head minnow thing, man, you could probably tell me. You probably can't even count the amount of cuss words of just people asking you for minnows and jig heads this year.
Can't get enough jig
How
heads.
many ball head text messages and minnow text messages have hit Ross Kellermeier's phone? The kingpin, by the way, of tackle. North of Mason-Dixon.
Too many. Not enough. Millions.
How do you keep up with that? I mean, you were the first to bring Horizon heads to Minnesota,
it's
which is
funny
badass,
because
by the way.
I can't get back to somebody. You want to go get beers later? I can't get back to them, but if somebody asks if I can get them some BTS 5s, I can. I'm pretty quick at getting on that.
Dude, you're the kingpin, bro. We're lucky to have you up here in Minnesota, and to be honest, the podcast wouldn't be anywhere where it's at without you. So, and dude, like as a fellow basstronaut, I geek out on this stuff, so it's been hard to not look back this entire time recording. But I just want you to know what else you brought for us, Mr. Kingpin. What else can we...
So,
looking at tackle.
Do you have any, or what's your experience with the bass puzzle grass piece?
Only the 2 that you sold me.
Only
and
2,
I've
really?
Caught some bass. 4, excuse me. 2 halves and 2 3/4.
Oh,
and
you got some of the 3/4?
Mm-hmm.
Did you fish them?
Yep, I like them.
So I'm primarily 3/8 and a half.
I haven't played with the 3/8.
I threw the 3/8 a lot in the spring. In fact, there's a video of me and Eric from early spring. I was throwing that hot pink one.
I remember you blasted them.
Yeah, like 36-0.
It's like you had the first lure the bass had ever seen.
Yeah, but what I like about that bait is it stays upright. I mean, you can bang it off docks, it can have like a little piece of eelgrass on it,
Right,
but it
right.
stays upright, like no matter what you do. And it's like you can bang that thing off whatever you want and beat it up, but it still runs true.
Yeah,
and when
yeah.
you kill it, it's doing this it's on the way down.
Yeah, dude.
So
I never thought about throwing it through wood like that. Like a spinnerbait comes through wood. Man, dude, I'm glad we talked just in time for wood season here.
Yep.
Like, imagine throwing a chatterbait and not worrying about snagging wood with it.
Yep.
Where you could throw a chatterbait.
Yep.
So you have grass pieces coming?
By the time this podcast airs, I believe we will have a full stock. And if we don't, I will set some aside in the secret office where the cool stuff is, and all you got to do is come in and ask for them. If we're sold out of them, we probably aren't actually sold out of them.
So it's safe to say that this podcast comes out, these guys go online. Maybe the grass pieces are only 2 days away, right? But these guys just heard you talk about them and want some. Do you have a way they could get notified?
Yeah, so if you go on our website, hit the grass piece, all you got to do is it'll say sold out, and just subscribe to email notifications. All it requires is your name and your email. And it'll notify you the second that we log them into the system, like real time.
So if there is not Bass Puzzle grass pieces online by the time you listen to this podcast, the day it comes out, because they're going to go fast.
Yeah, like 17 minutes.
We're trying to time it epically. Timing's never been my strong suit, but we're going to do our best. Hit that email subscribe button so you can get notified. That way when the grass pieces arrived, Ross can call you with the missing puzzle piece, no pun intended.
If you want, they can also join the Waypoint Angler Supply VIP group on Facebook. And we
Comes in pretty handy.
We do a lot of, hey, look what just showed up in there, or look what's coming tomorrow, or hey, we're giving you guys 1 hour to shop before the general public gets to shop. So all you gotta do is Waypoint Angler Supply VIP group on Facebook. Hit the join button. You just gotta type your email in, and then all that does is basically sign you up for some cool discount codes and coupons and product releases. So you win no matter what you do.
You've probably typed your email in for much less,
Yeah.
let's be honest. And that's probably, I almost don't want people to do that. So there's only so much of these good goods.
What do you...
Oh, look at that.
I want to know
beautiful specimen.
what do you like for a trailer on the back of those? I'm curious.
I've been playing with the freeloader on the back of that, and to me, this is a tool. This is like, okay, so everybody's throwing a chatterbait already, right? And to me, this is like a complementary tool to a chatterbait.
Mm-hmm. And they're not that much more than a jackhammer.
No, they're really not. Other than you can't get them typically, unless Ross has them. That's right, folks. But yeah, when you do have them, they're not much more than chatterbait, which is why you should start an eBay page. But to me, you know that lipless deal in the spring when they're on that yo-yo?
Yep.
And that chatterbait, when you pause it, all there is lead, just like a jig. So it falls down, nose down. And with this, as you know, we're just playing camera show. When you pause this, it goes sha-ta-ta-ta-ta.
Yep.
I'm a Yamamoto Senko at a half of an ounce or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, so like, it's going to be more weedless than a lipless, obviously, with those.
It's like you can rip that thing through that gross eelgrass that's floating on the top.
It comes through shit.
Like everything. It's kind of crazy. And like even if you've got like a little tiny piece of grass on there, it still runs true. And I don't know.
It's pretty mind-blowing,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Well, if you've seen some of the stuff that they fished in Japan, like they'll run that thing through like those like a fallen tree with like all the scum on the top. They'll just fish it right through. But so I'm guessing that's where part of why it was designed, because they they run like those glide baits and those bass puzzles through that stuff, whereas
Yeah,
we avoid it.
Right.
But they just throw it right in there. Like it'll have scum hanging off the end, and they'll catch a bass with it.
Right. Well, and it's like guys down south, like we'd flip a jig into that bush. They're running a square bill through it, right? Same kind of deal. The big thing, I guess, that people, I don't want people to think this is chatterbait. Like what it doesn't do that a jackhammer does is hunt.
Yep.
This is more hunt. To me, it's more of a vertical hunt, but it's something that doesn't blow out at any speed, and that to me is, I don't know. It's a very unique weapon. It's a piece of art made in Japan. That Ross is probably one of the only human beings to get his hands on these in the United States, and it's one of his best kingpin moments.
Yep.
And he's done it again. They're gonna be how much? Are you getting green pumpkin?
Should be
pumpkin?
some green pumpkin. There's some fire craw. There's some hot pink. There's some white. There's some mini blades coming, which are a little sneaky.
Have you played with the mini blade yet? That to me is interesting.
A little bit. I'm gonna throw it this weekend when it cools down a little bit and see what happens. But yeah, a little bit, a little more subtle. But I agree with you on that freeloader trailer. I've tried putting like a Kitech on the back, something with a ton of movement. They don't jive, I've found. I think you want something that's got like a freeloader that doesn't have a ton, or I've found like a Yamamoto Seiko works okay.
Yeah, tactical minnow, Arsenal tactical minnow would be perfect.
That's probably the only swim bait that jives with the way that.
I bet it's perfect.
I think it's the only one that works with that, actually, because I took it off that bait. I had one back here.
Yeah, Fothergill was saying his co-angler, he had a Japanese co-angler on day one for Okeechobee, and he threw this, and I think they throw like a Sakamata shad on the back in Japan.
Right.
So more straight tail.
Like a VTS 5 would be perfect on the back, but
yeah,
you're not going to want to pay VTS 5 pricing to put it on the back of a...
No.
But yeah, that style bait I've found, other than a tactical minnow, that's what I like. Tactical minnow is that one exception to the swim bait category. It works really well on the back.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be perfect.
Yeah,
that's what I would throw on the back. I've been wanting a green pumpkin or black one.
We've got black and blue coming.
Ooh, well,
violet. I think there's one called Violet Gill or Violet. That one.
If you give me some green pumpkin purple in it, in a little grass piece, Daddy's a happy camper. So those are, dude, that's sweet. That's badass.
Yeah.
Those will be gone fast.
17 minutes is the record.
For what? And that
sold
was grass
out.
Piece?
From drop to sold out, 17 minutes.
How many items?
I think we got like 70 or 80 of them.
Holy shit.
It was just a cluster too, because we had people shopping online for them, and then we had people in the store with them in their arms. I was like, you have to check out now, otherwise somebody online is going to purchase the ones that are in your arms. Like, let's get these run through while you decide what colors you want.
Yeah, that's got to be kind of. How often do you run into that?
Pretty much only bass puzzles. Sometimes we've had that with VTS 5s. That stuff that's everybody in the world is like literally scouring for. Yeah, it's like hurry up and shop.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's got to be fun. Kind of.
It's fun to see. I mean, we'll have guys that drive an hour and a half into the store because they want to check it out. And they're like, you still got those grass pieces? I was like, yeah, I have a couple back in the office. I'd saved for situations just like this. So.
How many calls do you get for special orders?
All the calls.
Really?
All of them, yeah.
How many special orders do you make for guys a week, would you say?
Piles.
Like 20 plus?
Probably.
It's a good amount.
And they're pretty effective. Like, you might not get it now, but if you can wait a month, you'll get it. Like,
totally. Totally.
We check every day. Like I got a team of guys we're all checking for you. You know, if you can wait, you'll get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you might be looking for one color, but we might find a color that you like even better too.
Totally.
That's happened a lot.
I believe that. Certain colors, certain things are just tough to find, and I guess it's tough to know what you want, I think, for some guys. So, like, if you're new to the game, it's really cool to go into your store and figure out what you like and figure out what you want.
It's a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, dude.
That's what everybody says. Like,
it is.
You have to look every, like, square inch. There might be something, like, up, down, on the corners.
Dude, I find something new every time I go in there.
Yeah.
I shouldn't, but... Do you need anything?
Oh, I'm good.
Me too.
I forgot to tell you. We have a new international expert in the store.
You do?
Yeah. Her name is Eclair.
Oh, that's not the dog I meant. Yeah, dude, we need to talk about your dog.
She's 7 years old.
Okay.
She's a golden retriever from China.
Okay.
And she's a rescue. We got her a couple months ago. We had to... Let's see. This was a cluster. What did we do? We flew to JFK, New York. Dog was on a 17, 18-hour flight from China because she was rescued from the meat trade over there.
Yep. Wait.
She was going to be sold for meat.
A golden retriever.
Yeah.
So not only are you a kingpin for JDM Tackle, but you also save lives?
Yeah. One golden retriever at a time.
Just let me get this straight, though. You're telling me in China there's a meat market for golden retrievers?
Yeah, so it's not legal there.
What?
At least for most of it. It's like this kind of black market. From what I understand, it's like this black market thing where like people will sell dogs, or they'll pick like people's pets up on the street, capture them, or there's just like a stray dog running down the street. They'll pick them up in trucks. So this rescue, basically will go to the meat markets and they'll buy the dogs from the people selling them and bring them to their rescue. So they have 82 dogs right now in their possession of that they're rescuing. So like it's not legal in China to like do that. So they're combating against that.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Yeah.
Make a remix about it after the debate. Like what? So there's actually folks, I don't think you can make this shit up. There's a black market for golden retrievers.
They're almost all Goldens, yeah.
How, like, you probably didn't get this far into it, but that is like, did you have to go to the dark web for this? Or like,
No.
This is like...
It's a rescue and they're based out of California and that's what they do. Like South Korea and China.
Like, a lot of people would think you're racist for even, like, looking into that site. Like, you're racist when you researched it, but once you saved the dog, you totally redeemed yourself. Like, what? Think about that, dude.
Yep.
So how did you, like, get it?
Sarah. It was all Sarah.
All Sarah?
Yeah, it was like all her, 100%. This is like her dream for the last however many years. She wanted to save a dog.
Well, wasn't the chick on the old commercials named Sarah? Sarah McLaughlin?
Yeah.
In the arms of... Funny coincidence is all. Mm-hmm. But I think that's awesome. Like...
So she's available for free pets. It's like a petting zoo at Waypoint Angler Supply. You can come and say hi.
Dude, I met that dog. That dog was epic.
Yeah.
That dog was about to be General Sal.
Yeah, she's like mad chill.
Mad chill, dude.
Yeah.
How do they even cook a golden retriever?
I don't know.
Like, do you tell people it's golden like where does it go, dude?
No idea.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
So her name is I don't eat that type of food you named her after very often.
Eclair.
Eclair.
Yeah.
That's like the dessert, right?
Yeah.
Is it French? Eclair?
I think, yeah.
Eclair?
Yeah, they named her Eclair.
Eclair?
So that's what we stuck with. That's like the only thing she knows because she actually only knows Chinese. So when you tell her to sit, it's actually Zua.
Really?
Yeah.
So, dog knows Chinese.
Dog knows Chinese and does not know English.
Oh, fuck.
When we got her, we were saying sit, sit, sit.
Nothing.
Turned on Google Translate. It said Zua. Sat.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, that's just such a trippy concept to me. Like you have people changing their profile pictures over rescuing like an animal that already got rescued that was at the Humane Society.
Yeah.
You know? Sorry, I'm not talking shit on you Humane Society folk, great people out there. But dude, like those Humane Society cats and dogs, they don't sell them to the meat market. Like when they're done, like it might die, but it's not like nobody's gonna eat it.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe the Humane Society, like by not having those things eaten, maybe they're wasting the animal. Maybe, but I don't agree with that. So they're not wasting the animal. But how big is that market? Like, is there?
I don't
feel like
I don't think it's huge.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit of a backdoor black market kind of thing. I think it's a problem that's getting better.
Well, I'd certainly like to save the rest of the golden retrievers so we can at least talk about this. Maybe somebody else will be inspired to.
Bunny's Buddies. That is the name of the rescue. Bunny's Buddies in California.
Bunny's Buddies.
Yeah, they've got like
Bunny's Buddies?
Like celebrities have rescued from them, like the Bachelorette.
Yep. How do you know it's not a scam?
Oh, I have a dog and I paid money for it, so.
Fair enough. But how do they prove it's from China? Like, is there like pedigrees?
Well, they sent me a flight number, so I got to track her from China to JFK.
That's
so
cool.
I don't know.
That's cool. Seems legit.
Yeah.
Did it they cost more or less than normal dogs?
It's probably about the same as just rescuing or buying. I mean, it's okay. It's a hell of a lot less than probably buying a purebred golden retriever.
So that's my question, right? So it's not like these people are price gouging.
No,
if they are running a scam, which
not in the slightest.
I mean, whatever.
Buy a purebred golden retriever for $3,000. Yeah, way less than that.
Well, fuck, that's like fucking the way to go. Why would you get a pure? Okay, let's help these. Like, there's no reason to get a purebred golden retriever. Why get a purebred golden retriever and pay 4 times the amount? It was probably made in a lab. Or you could save a dog's life. You could keep food off of a family's table.
Yep.
Wait, that sounds bad. But you know,
Yep.
Like, that seems like the absolute way to go.
Yep.
So, babies, bunnies, bunnies, babies, bunnies, babies.
Bunny's Buddies.
Bunnies,
Yep.
buddies. But, fuck. You heard him. They have a website.
Yep. Social media, Instagram.
Okay.
Eclair's featured in all the time.
Boom, boom, boom. Get you an eclair. I'm sure they've got some muffins, some eggs Benedict.
And now we're animal activists.
Honestly, dude, while we're here, we might as well do some good in the world.
Yep.
They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. You might as well save a dog, save a cat, whatever
Yep.
you're into. And that dog is cute as hell, dude, and super tame.
Yep.
Wasn't that energetic?
Nope.
Like,
She's just chill. She's like, I'm in America and I love it.
well, yeah. I mean, can you imagine the discipline it got from Chinese discipline methods? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Chinese, like, nobody says they go easy on their kids as parents. You know? So he's probably in heaven.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you think he had to watch his friends get
I don't know.
killed?
Well, because she was in a rescue for like 4 years. So I think all that's behind her.
Sure. So they like go into China and like steal.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that for a job? Can you imagine that for a job?
Go buy a litter of puppies from the meat market.
We risk our lives every day for these golden retrievers.
Yep.
So they travel into China. Think about this for a second, Ross. Like, travel into China, say, there's a lot of shit going on here, but we're just here for the dogs. You know what I mean? And we're like undercover agents.
Yep.
Like undercover. Like think about being a super. That's like got to be like being a kid playing secret agent for a bunch of dogs. Like you can't get in that much trouble, yet you get to feel that much dangerous. Like you get to feel.
Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending's Dream Team can help guide you through the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. They have a wide variety of home loan programs in their tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time homebuyer options. Just ask me. I trusted Aaron Dagas, a bass fisherman just like you and me, and Supreme Lending's Dream Team to help finance my first home. Contact Aaron Dagas and the Dream Team today by scanning the QR code or giving them a call at 763-326-0677. That's 763-326-0677. Did I catch a 7 in there? Or visit their website, aarondages.supremelending.com. That's AARONDAEGES.supremelending.com.
Like the danger of SEAL Team 6, but not the repercussions.
I just feel
when
like
you're dealing with dogs.
if I went over there, I think I would just come home with all of them, though.
Totally,
Like how-
dude. I'm a softie.
So there's a shop dog now.
I definitely need to have them shipped over. Like, how do you go over there and just say, we can't take them all? We got to leave Billy.
No.
So that's a new shop dog?
Yeah.
What about Loomis?
He's got some work to do.
Didn't benefit from that old school Chinese parenting discipline?
No. He was in like bomb sniffing dog training and like hardcore obedience, and
Really? And rebelled?
he's
He's a fuckboy.
he's got problems.
I gotcha. He's a little less welcoming,
He's
if I remember correctly.
he's a nutcase. Loves you, but he's gonna like jump on you and like he wants to love you like up in your face, like
Like I'm a GLX frog rock.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Rawr.
yeah.
I like that. So I guess with all the chaos of the tackle shop.
There's no chaos. It's fun. We already.
Oh yeah, we already talked
It's
about
fun.
this.
It's not chaos. It's fun.
Doesn't seem like chaos. Seems like fun to me. But I feel like every business owner I know is stressed. So I just assume that. It's my bad. It's the wrong thing to assume.
What's stress? What's there to stress about?
I don't know. Lots of things. Inflation, life,
Yeah.
the rising cost of goods, the fact that this is sold out and you wish you could get more, but you
Yep.
could only get this many. You
Yep.
have this guy text. I mean, there's a lot of things that stress a guy out.
Yeah, now I'm stressed out though.
I feel like maybe is it healthier to acknowledge it or is it healthier to ignore it?
No, I think my combat method to stress is going and purchasing more fishing tackle.
Well, sales cures all. And
Yeah.
if you can get more tackle, that means you can sell more tackle.
It's like, we can't get any more Sakamatas, but we can get VTS 5s.
So you
And
get
then-
them.
Yeah,
That takes all the stress away.
yeah.
I like that.
I can't think of a real stressful scenario that we've really had to encounter. I mean, when you've got a good team of guys, it kind of lightens your load quite a bit.
100%. 100%. Can you show me more new lures, Dad? I'm looking back here now. And it's a beautiful thing.
Have you seen these?
The rigging kits? Not in person, but I think for anybody who's looking to get into any of these techniques, it'd be where I would start.
So we have
Been a hot seller for you?
Yeah, so it's kind of become our like staple online kits that we have created in collaboration with G-Crack, and they've really appreciated it. It's done really well. It's I bet if you go on our website and look under the top sellers, I bet one of these kits is for sure under it. It's I think our number one question for the G-Crack brand when people come in and look at the orange packaging with the stinky smell, I think it's how do you rig that? So we came up with these because we were bundling. Okay, you need a pack of Eco weights, you need some Eco hacks, you need some chartreuse flipping weights, you need the hooks, you need the right hook. So we took all that and we bundled them up. So now you literally have everything you could ever need to rig G-Crack. So we've got a bellows gill / bellows stick kit. This one we just came out with. This is called the Bag of Tricks in the Spirit of Halloween. So that's it's got the bow bob, a flipping bait. It's got the Spiron twin. It's got the bellows gill swimmer. It's got the bellows shad, that trailer. It's got a football jig. It's got a weighted superline hook. It's got some tungsten chartreuse arsenal flipping weights. Everything you need to rig all 4 of those style baits in there. Everything.
I love it. Did I tell you what I learned on Tonka this year?
Mm-mm.
This is a bellows gill swimmer, the mini one, the 3.2, on a 1/2 ounce pegged Texas rigged, flipping it fast into cover.
How did you figure that out?
I just felt like it.
Like just a straight like
I just felt like it.
like a flipping hook, like a straight shank flipping hook.
I'm still playing with it, but I really like the Decoy 4-aught, just wide gap.
Oh, okay, so you're the wide gap.
On a 1/2 ounce pegged bullet weight, and just plunking junk mats and with Bankston, and one of our big ones came on it, and it definitely, like, you think about what everybody's flipping. It's a beaver, it's a jig, it's a whatever, but what, like, it falls so fast, and it's got a little gill huddle, blah, 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 and no one's doing it. And I feel like on Tonka, when no one's doing it, and you're throwing something that they're already eating, and it looks like what they're eating, and it makes them react, it, like, good things happen with it. So,
well, that
I don't get to fish Tonka enough, but
Yeah.
if anybody's able to play with this more, I feel like this 3.2 inch mini gill swammer, like, I won't be flipping nothing else on Tonka, and, like, I'm curious. I'm just discovering it, so I'm probably going to be pissed I ever talked about it, Ross, but it gets bit, and no one's doing it.
Well, I'm glad we put flipping weights in that kit then, because now they're all set.
Yes, they are. So I noticed that too. I was going to mention that. So, and the eye guard, nice touch with the Decoy eye guard. So the kit's been hot. I noticed you made a Q-bomb kit too.
We did do an Emo Kamushi Q-bomb kit.
I have not. How are guys throwing that?
The 3 primary ways we included in here. We got wacky hooks, which work for drop shot, wacky, Nico, however like you rig it. But then we're throwing some Arsenal drop shot weights in there, and then of course some Decoy nail weights, which fit nicely, especially in that 1.2 size that's included in there. So
is this a smaller Q-bomb?
that's the 1 inch. Yep.
Okay, so there's
1 inch and 1.2.
Okay. I've got the bigger one,
Yep.
but
The 1.2.
I guess I've been playing with dice stuff, and there's a few I really like, but I know there's some guys who've unlocked this Q-bomb, and it's a matter of throwing something enough. But how are guys fishing this, and what are you seeing with this? Because I'm not on it yet, but I'm curious. I'm curious.
I think the majority of guys are drop shotting them, especially that 1 inch size.
Yep.
A lot of them are throwing the 1.2 inch weightless because you can get that extra distance.
It casts good.
It's quite a bit heavier than the 1.
I was gonna say this feels quite a bit smaller, even though it's maybe
it's
not.
only 0.2, but it feels bigger than that.
Yeah, the one I've got feels bigger, and I've thrown it around and caught some fish with it, and it bombs like on a weightless presentation.
There's a lot of guys that are sticking nail weights in them to get even more distance out of them too. Nico rigging them, so
It makes sense, dude.
that green pumpkin chartreuse color is probably the #1 seller.
Sure. And is there a situation where that seems like anywhere you throw a Senko? The only thing to me is that in a cover scenario, you know, it's more so like an inside weed edge, outside weed edge.
Yep.
That's where I see it playing more in my mind.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty much all I'm hearing is throw it on weed lines and throw it in the weeds, throw in the holes in the weeds. Docks, a lot of guys are skipping docks with the bigger one.
I believe it.
Yeah, I haven't messed around with it too much because again, they sell out so fast that I usually I'm not able to get my hands on them.
Yeah, how does that work? And how the hell do you live with yourself selling away all your personals? I get it. I mean,
There's a lot of times where somebody's asking for something in the store, and I go, "Can you wait 10 minutes?" Like, yeah, run home, come in the garage, grab something off the peg, bring it back. Here you go. I do that a lot.
Seth has all my koi keys.
Yeah.
And then I gave one to somebody who needed it.
I'm not afraid to dip into the personal stash for.
You gotta help your buddy.
Yeah.
You gotta help the guys out.
Yeah.
Yep. Like giving Father Gill a few baits. Like Father Gill texts me for something, gets it. He's got a lot on the line.
I'm gonna save one or two of these Q-bomb kits specifically for the podcast when this airs.
Do we want to announce? Do you want to announce that? Or?
Yeah, I'll save this one for the podcast. That way, if somebody didn't get their chance to get on a Q-bomb kit, I'll have one back in the office for them.
You want to do a giveaway for it, or do we want to do first call? We've got a Q-bomb kit.
We've got a
podcast Q-bomb kit.
All they gotta do is come in the store and ask for it, or if they call and want it shipped, I'll ship it out.
So
They're like,
Ross is definitely going to say it's not sold if you walk in, and if you're the first caller, we got a Q-bomb kit with your name on
they're
it.
like $60 value. So
You're gonna give one away?
sure,
No. Don't do that. How about half price?
half price,
So it's $60?
$30 for a podcast listener.
All right. Dude, I don't know why you're doing that for these degenerates. I love you, but
Because some of them probably didn't see our advertisements the last 12 times we've posted about them. So
it's a busy world out there.
Podcast special, $30.
It's a busy world out there. There's a $30. If I don't grab this Q-bomb kit, there's a $30 Q-bomb kit. I won't grab it. There's a $30 Q-bomb kit. You have to be the first caller into Waypoint Angler Supply the day this gets released, or you have to run into that store and let Ross know not to answer the phone because I'm here.
And if Dale answers the phone and sounds like he doesn't know what you're talking about, that's probably because I didn't tell him.
And if you want Dale to then talk to Ross, you need to let Dale know that is the greatest mustache you've seen in at least 3 years. Okay?
We actually...
How about that crumb duster?
We got a caricature made of his
seen that.
face. It's up on the wall now. So he's there, Waypoint Hall of Fame. He's the first member on the wall.
To Dale.
To Dale.
To Dale. Best crumb duster north of the Mason-Dixon.
I wanted to show you this. I don't know if I told you about this yet.
Yes, I bought one and I lost it on Tonka. I thought Tonka was the place I was going to Nico rig it and catch bass.
So this was a 140 millimeter koiki. Now that's been trimmed down to probably like 80 or 90 millimeters left. This has lasted me since May. I've still got that much bait left.
I saw a video on how you're doing that.
Yep.
And care to elaborate, because to me, is that what it was designed for?
Oh no.
And okay. So to me, so what are guys doing with that koiki elastomer straight? Because we can get more of those, a bunch more.
It's a koiki straight elastomer 140. It was made to be a full-length bait. I've obviously cut it down probably at least half. Drop shot, Nico typical worm bait, but it's super stretchy and elastomer. And what we discovered with it is it actually works. You get your money's worth out of it because they're not cheap. They're like $28.
No, they're freaking spendy.
It's like $28 for a worm, right? Paying $28 for a Nico worm. I mean, yeah, they last forever, but I mean,
if you rip it off,
I think
I ripped mine off.
I think you get your money's worth if you actually cut this down into dice. It's floaty. They're elastomer, so like once you thread this on your hook, like it's hard to get it off because the barb will catch it. Like like typical dice.
Cut one of those up.
You've got the problem of panfish picking off the appendages.
Yep.
So that problem's no more. No more appendages gone. No more panfish picking off your dice. No more throwing the dice when a bass jumps and throws it off. That That's bait, badass. If you don't get bit off by like a pike, that thing will last you a whole season. And that is where you get your $28 worth, I think, is when you cut it down into dice-sized bites. It floats too. So like on a drop shot, it's always sitting right up, right where it needs to be. It looks beautiful.
It looks beautiful.
It's super compared to like the straight silicone legs, it's a lot more like subtle, I'd say.
I think it's got more like twanginess to it. Like twanginess. Mm-hmm. Like vibrating. More like vibration.
Yeah, they're like super, like rather than flowy.
Rather than undulating, like more
they're super
vibey.
They're like, super like quick vibrations.
Like an actual fin or an actual wing or an actual...
Like a it's almost like a bug is like underwater, like twitching and dying. Like, that's what I think.
It's like Nat Geo and Katy Perry made a porno.
And I was originally throwing it for smallmouth, obviously. And yeah. Willie's been up north throwing that thing for smallmouth, and he confirmed. He's like, yeah, you're right about that. I didn't believe you at first. But we were actually out on Lake Waconia filming a video with Tommy Parker, and largemouth choke it.
I believe it.
Like dumb.
Dude, I think there's a lot of baits that are underutilized for largemouth, especially on a lake like Waconia, Tonka. I think that no matter what species we're talking about, when you're full and pissed off at lures hitting you in the head, you're never too full to not take a dinner mint.
But for a dice bait, that one you can guarantee fish haven't seen and nobody else is throwing. If you cut this down into a dice, you are actually throwing something that nobody else has access to. It's different than you can cut up a Senko and run strand. This is different than that.
Oh, it is 100% different. This is, I mean, the hide-up koiki stuff is in a league of its own.
Yep.
Like, they're like, you know what? We're going to take Toys R Us durability.
Yep.
We're going to bring it to the fishing world, baby.
Yep. Well, and like the koiki, just a regular koiki, like the full cast.
Yeah.
It's a different bait, right?
Totally different bait.
Like, looks different, but it acts different too. Like, you put that thing on a 3/8 or a 1/2 ounce Jika rig, and you think, all right, it's just gonna fall real fast to the bottom like every other bait, but it just, it's like got that like angels are singing on its way down.
I just wonder if I'm the only human being who's caught one on that on the lax. There's no way. I've caught 5 bass over 4 pounds on the koiki Jika rigged on a boulder on the lax. Like, it was a deal for me, actually. It wasn't the deal, like the winning deal, but it was a deal.
You're one of the only ones that actually had that color. I would bet you are the only one that's ever caught a bass on that bait on the lax. I would say that's pretty strong.
Because that color was perfect for mille lacs. Red, blood red.
Yeah, I think the color was called blood red, or it was like clear red or something. But
There's not a lake I know in the state of Minnesota that blood red is like the deal besides like whatever it is about the mille lacs crawfish.
yeah, well, there's
Cut
like
your finger, look at the blood. That's color.
there's like no U.S. baits that are that color, like
No, not like
no
siren
straight
blood
red.
Dude, I couldn't believe I got to watch some fish like react to that lure on scope. It was crazy. I've never seen a bait like that koiki big. So basically, I mean, this would be the little one I would throw on mille lacs, but basically a big version of that on a leaderless drop shot. It would fall, and I'd never see him like dart around like and nose down to like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Like more than that. And I would like if the fish was on a bed and in the right mood, or if there was enough fish there, I'd get one to eat it. Mm-hmm. But it would show me what was there every cast.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of if they would eat it or not.
And it's another one, just like the straight, that bait lasts forever.
100%.
So
Unless you hook a stump.
yeah, I've had that with that.
But you could do that with a glide bait.
Yeah,
People do it all the time.
yeah. I have not got piked with one yet either.
I haven't either. I caught one off my dock with it. I think I've caught about a dozen bass on it. It's not the deal, but it could be. It could be the deal, dude. Taku caught. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but you're the only guy in the United States to carry that secret ass bait. And a lot of people don't know that Taku hit the biggest bag of fish weighed on the Bassmaster Elite Series this year was on the koiki, on the big one.
Yeah.
The biggest bag of fish weighed on the Bassmaster Elite. I'm saying that this is on the record. You carried that bait. The bait that weighed the biggest bag on the Bassmaster Elite Series in 2024 was a Hide Up Koiki. Carried only by Ross Kellermeier, who's sold out now, so sorry.
But
wait, there's more.
when this podcast airs, just like the bass puzzles, we will have a restock of 13, 17, and original size full cast.
Talk dirtier to me, Mr. Kingpins.
So-
That is so beautiful. That news is great.
When this is live, we'll have them.
Don't you just love that?
Yeah.
Man.
They might all be in my garage, but we'll have them. Everything's got a price.
Yeah.
Even Eclair.
I'd put them in your garage. I would start doing auctions on them.
So like our
Why can't you auction shit off as a store?
well, I think like that I could, but like you can't auction like an NRX because MSRP.
I got you. So there's laws for that. But like a koiki, to me, dude, like at the end of the
like
day,
you
there's
could,
only
you could,
like,
but
you can only get so many.
I don't know. I wouldn't feel right about that. I want people to pay a fair price, you know?
I agree.
It would be kind of fun to see what it would go for.
That's more so like a fair price is what people decide it is, and they decided to participate in the auction.
Well, like, if you think like a $50 koiki, like if people think that's like price gouging,
Fuck off.
like that's market price in Japan. Like that's what you pay. Like you don't get them for like $1. And
Right.
like you don't sell them for $50 because like you can. It's because that is what the market price in Japan is.
Right.
Because they're so popular and so hard to get. Like it's
Totally.
insanity. I don't know. Like maybe someday that market price will drop. Perhaps I don't know. I'm curious to know maybe if they ever ramp up to production or anything.
With the durability of those baits, they'd be stupid.
It's worth it.
It's cheaper than a Senko is the sad thing.
It's legitimately worth that $50 because as long as you don't get bit off by a pike, that thing lasts you all year.
In the South, it's for sure.
It's the same with that worm. That's a $28 worm that'll last you for a year or two.
That's, I think, the big misconception.
There is a a warning on that, and I think it says it on the back in Japanese. If you leave that bait in this container out on the front deck of your boat,
Yeah, don't.
in the sun, it'll melt it, and then there goes your $28 bait. So don't do
Yes.
that.
Like a Z-Man product, but then some.
Like
Be careful
this
with these.
box
Yeah.
it comes in amplifies the sun and melts the whole thing down. So
Sure.
and like if your boat sits outside in the sun and like it's in your rod locker, it might melt.
Bad deal.
So just try to keep it out of like extreme heat. That's all. That's about the only thing. And keep it away from other plastics, obviously. It only
and keep it
jives-
away from your wife. You don't need her knowing how much you spend on these.
Yeah. She's gonna be pissed if you find out you spent $28 on this.
Then you got to buy her shoes, and now you spent $80. Well, no, you probably spent way more than that, knowing your wife's taste in shoes. Their wives, the hypothetical wives of our audience. That
You know,
is.
Sarah, I had to beg her the other day to buy a new pair of shoes. Like,
Holy
why are you
smokes.
wearing those? They're like 3 years old. She's like, those they're great. I'm like, buy a new pair of shoes.
Dude, you have the poster wife. So
Yeah.
for all you dudes out there whose wives spend too much on shoes, please take notes at this point. Dude, that's awesome. So she's not like, hey, need new shoes.
No,
Need new anything?
she just wants puppies
puppies. Okay.
and she wants a new NRX every now and then.
Honey.
She just doesn't understand that like when she's not using it, I am. So it's like pretty much I'm buying myself an NRX with
Well, I mean, you didn't do prenups.
right.
I mean, if she didn't want you to use it, she should have put it in the prenup.
Yeah, so the funny thing is, Loomis, the crazy dog, if we get a divorce,
Okay. You've done. You guys have talked this out already?
I get Loomis because I bought Loomis,
Fair enough.
and Eclair had a contract. It said this. They said if you guys get a divorce, they said you have to determine who gets the dog. So she's got her name on Eclair.
So you guys had to have this
Yeah.
talk.
Yep. So I get Loomis, and she gets Eclair.
I figured you guys had to split the dog. If you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not
She
funny.
gets
It's good dog.
She gets the tenderloins.
You're eating the dogs. You're eating the cats. I have to pee again. Do you have to pee yet?
No, wicked pissa.
Okay, so you should add this to your. You know how you make a list of strengths and weaknesses? Mm-hmm. You should add bladder of a camel
Yep.
to your side of strengths because I'm impressed.
Yep.
Bladders on my weakness column.
Actually, they make fun of me at work because
You don't pee or because you pee?
pretty much, yeah, like between 8 and 5, I'm good.
You just don't pee.
Yeah, I'm just good. Too zoned in buying fishing tackle or like, yeah.
I think what's been like the most fun thing about like interacting with like US market versus Japanese market. Like we've talked kind of at a specific level, but looking bigger picture, like it's two different worlds.
Japanese market is they're very excited. They want to see you grow. They want to see themselves grow. They're not pushy. They want to see you succeed. And somehow there's a lot of connections I have over in Japan, and they've like heard of us. We've actually had a couple guys from Japan on a couple separate occasions that have stopped in to our store and said, "We heard of you from our friends in Japan," and they didn't speak great English, so they couldn't really tell us how. But they said, "We heard about you in Japan. We want," and they're taking pictures and they're all of them are really excited about it. Like all of them, they when they came in, they asked, "Why do you sell Japanese fishing products?" They said, "Why don't you just sell U.S. fishing products?" And we said, "Well, quality. It's high demand, quality, different, original." I mean, so they're kind of honored that we carry their, those products in our store.
Wow. And I guess I was fortunate. My buddy JP and I got to take Kyoyo Fujita to lunch to an American meal, and that's kind of how he was to me because the first thing I did, like, it was at Intune, and I went and got my black briefcase full of little secret JDM stuff.
Yep.
And I kind of just said thank you, and just let them know how much I respect their culture, how much I just think that they're innovators in the sport we make. And I guess
As anglers, we develop special bonds with our equipment. There's something magical when you find that perfect jig rod and reel combo for a technique that elevates your confidence on the water. Whether it's a perfectly balanced, crisp, and sensitive jig rod that gives you the highest level of control over your bait, allows you to feel every grain of sand, every bite, and allows you to drive that hook clean, or a rod with the perfect action and taper that seems to keep your chatterbait, swim bait, or whatever it is in the back of the bass's head where it belongs no matter where you throw it, or a rod that allows you to effortlessly cast a lighter bait you used to cuss at on your old combo. These types of magical bonds are rare to find in a mass-produced sweatshop, which is why Veselka Fishing and Customs came to existence, with the sole purpose of bringing you closer to your passion by enhancing the bond with you, your rod, and the bass. Confidence is everything in bass fishing, and there's no bigger boner buster than losing a big fish, not feeling like you can present your bait correctly. The list goes on and on. Mr. Veselka is a full-blown artesian craftsman who can build you the perfect rod, no matter the size or action, custom, exactly the way you want it. He also has a wide variety to choose from right on his website, including fan favorites like the 8-foot hair jig rod, the drop shot rod, swim bait rod, the chatter chicken rod, the MH workhorse, and more. Even ice fishing. You do the whole frozen Swiss cheese thing, the ice fishing. Seen grumpy old men? Well, you can send that jiggle stick back to the antique store because Mr. Veselka builds custom ice rods in all sizes and actions too. So head on over to his website, veselkafishing.com. That's VOCELKA fishing.com to enhance your confidence on the water, feel your passion, and catch more bass, baby.
Let him know that I dig his style and that I dig the culture that he comes from, and I think he really appreciated that. And he seemed extremely grateful and mind blown that I had, cover scats, that I had Sakamata shads, some drift fries, some two-ways. He loves the Raid two-way. He loves the two-way. Yeah. He loves it. Yeah, so, golly, if mics weren't recording, this would be ideal, but it's you and me talking, right? God damn it. Yeah, so Kyoya Fujita likes the cover scat. Drift fry, Sakamata shad are kind of his two main minnows.
Yep.
One or to the other. Field dice and OSP. And then, what was that other one I just said? I forget what one I just said before.
One of them.
Yeah, one of them. But yeah, he was super thankful, and I guess, like, first thing he asked me is, where do you get that stuff? And he had me show him your spot, and he just thought that was seeing, it was a true priceless reaction of, like, extremely amazed that there was a store up here that carried JDM stuff, and like grateful that of how much we respect those guys. Well, and I don't think they know how much we like they have a special place in the fishing world, and I guess I just don't want people to forget it.
Well, for us, it was when those guys were stopping in, they were amazed that we actually made Japanese products, like the center point. It's in the right when you walk in the door.
They weren't the side chick at the tackle shop.
Yeah.
I never even thought of it that way, dude.
Yeah. They were like
you're the
it's
side
not-
chick at every tackle
it's
shop.
not
and now
even
you're-
like their brand. They're not but they're still like grateful.
Totally.
But those relationships are like 100% based on like trust.
Really?
There's a lot of like non-trustworthy things going on in the U.S. side of the fishing industry. But when we deal with the guys from Japan, it's 100% trust and like honesty, and like I trust you, you trust me, and like if you do something that breaks that trust, you're done.
It's a very so to your point, it's a very different business style or business philosophy or way of doing business. So they're based on they do business based on handshakes, is what you're saying. And if you fuck them, they
like
just
they
never
automatically are trusting.
So
like
we'll
they
trust you till
trust
you
that
fuck
we-
us, and then we never
Yeah,
do.
like they will trust that you will follow through on your end immediately. Like they give you that trust right away.
Interesting.
So
That's cool though. But that's surprising. It almost makes it
it's
feel
surprising because in the US we don't do that. That's why it's surprising, but over there it's normal.
So are you saying that so what does okay,
I don't
here's
trust anybody.
but okay.
Do you?
Do they get fucked more there, or do we get fucked more here?
We get fucked more here, 100%.
But do we not, because we don't let ourselves get fucked more?
No, I
Like,
think
you know what I mean?
I think
like we stop ourselves from ever getting fucked.
I think we screw people over without them even knowing. Whereas like in Japan, I feel like like if you mess up, you own up to it. Like that's like a thing. Like if you screw up, you're like, yeah, I screwed up. Like they don't do that here.
But see, based on like what you're telling me, I feel like I was raised more Japanese then.
Yeah.
Like I get what you're saying. Like there's cutthroat business out there. It's just I was raised Japanese then, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but to your point, man, and I've gone through my life being probably too trusting then.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's tough being Japanese in America, is what you're saying.
Yeah. It's different.
Maybe I should move to Japan, Ross. Maybe
I think we should.
maybe maybe I only want to catch 2 bass a day, Ross. Maybe my way of thinking is more cut for that.
I think we should go live over there for a little while.
Dude, I'd love to. I mean, like especially how is their weather like from like December to February?
I think it's cold, but I don't think it's like stupid cold. Like I
I
think
bet
it's
the bass bite better.
Yeah,
Like we could bring blade baits.
probably less. I would assume less
pressure. Yep.
because it's gonna be icky.
But like we're from the icky.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Like US Bank Stadium didn't put the roof on for today's game, you know
Yep.
what I mean? We're
Yep.
from the icky.
Yep.
I'd love to live over there for a month or 2, or like I just love the way they think. Like it's about the mousetrap. It ain't about the spreadsheet. You mentioned that in we were just talking earlier, I remember, and like it's about the mousetrap at the end of the day.
It's from what I've seen. If you're a good person, they'll be good to you.
That's cool, dude. And man, and I think JP could attest to this too. Like that time, like I spent I had an hour-long conversation with Kyoya in 3 hours. Like, that's how long it took to have probably an hour-long conversation.
Yep.
But, I mean, dude, it was probably one of the best days of my summer. And just interacting even just with that culture. And I think it's interesting. The fact that you mentioned the side piece thing, like how the JDM market looks at a U.S. store, and they're there, but they're on an end cap, or they're on a, they're like the niche, and they're the star of your show, man.
Yep.
And I would say that's, well, it's been your ace in the hole, I guess. The JDM market's also, like, what else is different about, like, JDM versus US? Obviously how they do business, but the product itself is definitely a different vibe. Like, to an extent, it's similar products, but, like, it's almost like from a...
It's more purposeful.
For sure. Feels more purposeful.
It's weird. Like...
It's a piece of plastic.
G-Crack Bellows Gill is a good example of this, okay?
Yeah.
I would say they're higher quality and more purposeful. A guy that doesn't get it would say they rip more than US baits, so they're junk.
Sure. On a screw lock hook, I got 30 bass out of one Bellows gill and gill swimmer.
But
so
they're softer, so that they get more movement, and those flanges do what they were molded to do. Versus if you pour that over here in the U.S. with a firmer, crappier plastic, they don't do the same thing.
Right.
They don't. The flanges will stick together.
Yep.
They'll be too thick. They'll be too hard. You don't get the same bellows gill movement. So there's like a line there of they're higher quality because of the way that they move and the way they work, versus they're higher quality because they last longer, right? Like, it's kind of Yamamoto versus Yum Dinger here. Like, Yamamoto, they don't last as long as a Yum Dinger, but they look better in the water, right?
Okay, dude. We're going to dive deeper into the belly of this beast, because I just had an epiphany from what you said. Think about it this way. Like, there's so much pressure on them bodies of water. You've got a higher population density, and you've got a lower population density of water and bass ratio to that population density.
Like I could see like one bass per acre, like something stupid like that. Like,
so you think about what they're fishing for is a white-tailed deer. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, quality comes over everything else, because one bite is all the difference. It's you go out and you get 1 or 2 bites, or you go out and you get 0 bites. And those guys, it's that pressure there. It's that tough of fishing. It's that, rough of an ecosystem that innovation is the only way through. And, like, that innovation means getting 1 bite in quality. Innovation in quality means getting, 5 bites instead of 1. 3 bites instead of 0 over there, and here we're complaining because we only got 10 bites today. You know what I mean? Like, it's the way of thinking. And, like, when bass are as expendable as they are on your, Joe Schmo Lake, sure, a Yum Dinger, grab your dingers, sell those too, right? But if you're on Tonka, Blackfish, whatever it might be, every bite matters. And I guess that's where I think the correlation's starting to click with the US and some of that stuff. But, like, the people who complain are the people who don't get it. What you don't get is the fact that over there and where these baits are designed, they're designed to fool that one fish that lives in that whole bay that got casted at 50 times by different anglers throwing some pretty badass shit at them. So it's a matter of, like, they have to think different. They have to put quality first, you know?
You might be paying more, but you're directly paying for, like, results, right? Like,
Totally.
You're paying more because you're gonna probably catch more fish or bigger fish,
right?
Like you just are.
I just think about, like, some of the intricacies of these baits, you know, like how well thought out some of these baits are, and I'm like, wow, the time and the thought process behind these baits. What do these guys really gain from that, right? How big is that Japanese market, right? Are they just thinking through this to fool a bass, like, for just the pure passion of that? Or is it like a rock band in the 70s where it's like, we love doing this and maybe someday we can make it big and sell our shit to the US? Like, I'm curious how that works over there, because you look at, like, an OSP, they don't seem to care much about selling a lot of it to the US. You know what I mean? They seem to be more, like, quality driven, for example, as a company. G-Crack, you know. There's companies that seem to supply better to the US, but there's also a bunch of companies that seem to make really high-end shit, DRT, that you can't get. And it's almost like, why are they just making it to fool bass, or are they because they love the sport and they're true artists? Are we talking about a Picasso here? Are we talking about is this business? Like, is this to make money? I don't know. Like, the lines are blurrier in Japan than they are here. Here it's pretty clear money grab with a lot of, if you look at big business fishing tackle in the US, it's all about money. But fishing's more fun than that.
Yeah.
And that's what you got going, dude.
Yep.
Are you planning to go to Japan?
I'm hoping early 2025 we can make it over there,
Yeah.
Been putting together a little travel schedule and talking to some of the guys over there. So, yeah, hopefully early 2025.
Dude, jealous. That's so fun. That's so cool, man. I'm curious what's on the horizon for all of this. I mean, I guess you're just kind of in the heart of it right now, taking it day by day. But I guess what does the future look like for Waypoint Angler Supply?
I don't know. I suppose hopefully we more brand diversity, obviously.
I like that.
More stuff. I mean, that's wider selection of stuff, more brands, more JDM brands, more connections. That's what we do every day. We just get more stuff. So I don't know, just keep amping it up. Same group of guys with more stuff.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it comes down to. Just keep people happy. I don't know.
I love it, dude. And it's been cool that you've been showing, I guess, we've been talking a lot about the Japanese, but I guess I don't want to forget, there is, I think, this American-born dream in fishing tackle, in fishing equipment, that I think I don't want to forget it. I don't want to ignore it, because there is, I think, one of the coolest things I like besides JDM tackle is small business American fishing equipment.
Yeah. Well,
and I think, if you're not going to find something badass JDM, find something badass homemade American made, like whether it be a Veselka. Like, look at what Dane's done. That's been crazy too, man.
Yeah. We haven't had backstock of Veselka rods all year. Let's put it that way. We have them and then they're gone, and then we have them again and then we're gone. Then we got more and then they're gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna be amping that up a lot next year. Like, there's something about a Dane made custom rod that like you just can't beat it. Like his the way he like tapers a rod when you go and throw that technique specific item out there that you're throwing, like it's like that. You're like, okay, this is why I bought a Veselka. Like there's no other way to like you can bend them in the store, but like going out and using one is the best way to actually find that out.
I agree 100%, and I think what Dane's doing is kind of like what you're doing, dude. It's like when you're a small business, you got to be nimble and you got to like be able to offer something that's different. And I think you've shown clearly how you're doing that. And I think Dane, it's maybe a little bit less distinguishable on the outside, but I think it's equally as different because of the technique specific aspect to it, right?
Yep.
He's going to make great rods for your whole lineup, but when you have a technique and a rod and a combo for that dialed in and you're so intimate with it, that's, I mean, when I don't feel like orgasm is quite correct, but it's the closest word I can come up with on the water.
But
feels amazing.
the guy behind it too, though, like I've been in our store when a customer came in and said, I bought this Veselka rod from you a month ago. I've used it and it's just not right for the technique that I was using it for. It's a great rod, but for what I wanted, I want something a little bit different. And Dane was standing there and he goes, come to my shop. I'm going to take this rod and I'm going to give you the exact rod, the exact specifications and the exact taper that you want.
Yeah, dude.
No questions asked.
He'll do that with anybody.
Yep.
You don't get that with
anything.
But I think, a lot of people look for the tackle, but I think a lot of people might forget that you are carrying some badass reels, badass rods, some badass local brands, handmade stuff.
Look at Mike at Untamed Tackle.
Yeah, dude.
That is our number one selling skirted jig brand. Like, since we opened, we've probably sold more Untamed tackle in the last June, July, August, September 6 months than the total amount of jigs we've sold in the entire store. We've sold more Untamed in that 6 month period than total jig sales, like, of any other brand.
It's because they're about perfect.
He's in our store once a week restocking it. And that's not an exaggeration.
Crazy,
Every Monday or every Tuesday he's in restocking it because we need more breacher jigs and more ace jigs and more Punisher swim jigs.
Dude, how about that breacher jig? That 5/8 breacher? Gangster jig.
Yeah,
Guys are buying. I feel like it was on. I feel like Blackfish winners might have been flipping that. I've been meaning to text that Lucas Neal guy.
I just can't put that jig down.
The breacher?
Yeah.
And you're not a jig guy historically.
No, I was a little like turned off when he brought him in. I'm like, that's not really one I'll ever really throw probably because it looks like an up north reed flipping Bemidji style jig. I was like, I'm not gonna. I don't put it down up on Tonka ever. That little compact hook he's got on it, it's unbelievable.
Cut that skirt down, and it's like you're dropping a compact bluegill whatever bomb on him.
I think a lot of it comes down to actually his skirt material too, because it's a lot.
The fine skirt to me is the main difference maker. Like it's a jig is a jig is a jig, sure, but to me,
but this one's not.
No, dude, it's not your average grass jig, and the hook don't break. The keeper doesn't tear your plastic up.
Yeah.
Like I think that jig in one cleanup craw, I think it caught 25 bass.
Yeah.
Like that jig in one cleanup craw, or like that menace grub.
Yeah.
But
That's pretty much what I throw is the Bronco bug or the cleanup craw. Like that's what I'm throwing on the back of these. Bite down a half inch and you're good to go.
And see, other grass jigs, I've had hookup issues.
Yeah, well, that's why I was a little, because like
in the
hack
past.
attack jig, that's why I was afraid of this jig. I was like, I don't know. Threw it, and I don't know that I'll ever throw another.
Oh, for
Like,
flipping grass jig, dude,
can't
it's
beat it.
the grass jig. And if you haven't, if you're looking to get a grass jig, or you're looking to just, this is the grass jig,
Yeah.
folks. So, I'm glad to see Mike doing well. This is like, and what's cool is Kyle Welcher's a part owner of that. So like, the baits that are being designed, like it's not a big company that's just paying for a name on the jig. It's designed by AOI, Kyle Welcher.
You
Mr.
haven't
Jig
even
Flipper.
seen this yet. We just dropped these online, so these will be available by the time the podcast airs. We got all kinds of good stuff dropping for podcast.
See, this is
week.
like music to my ears.
Check it out.
Okay. The Untamed Tackle Sampler Set. This is an Untamed Tackle jig kit. The perfect rigging kit for your choice of Untamed Tackle products. Our hottest selling skirt. My goodness, Ross, this is beautiful. So you get a breacher, flipping jig, a Punisher swim jig, the new Juggernaut football jig, or maybe that's been out a while, the Ace jig, Shiitake mushroom jig, Raid Egu chunk, Bronco bug, cleanup craw, Ned BLT for the Shiitake jig, which should mention their mushroom head jig. They're making a jig worm head with the right hook,
Yep.
gammy hook, like no skin hooking on that jig worm.
Yep.
And then, dude, so you're basically taking that Bellows gill kit and you're taking the best jig on the market right now, hottest jig on the market right now, putting that up in a kit, ready to go untamed.
That's an $80 value, and you're paying $65 for it. So
So we're saving money.
it's a no-brainer. You get everything you need to rig them up. You get the proper trailers. He told me that the jigs and the Crush City products are actually color matched, like purposely. I don't know.
Yeah. No, because Welcher works
Yep.
with Rapala.
Yep.
So if he's throwing a jig,
Yeah.
he's like,
So like if
if I'm
you
on Smith, I'm gonna throw this.
like the colors in these kits will vary, but like if we throw a black and blue jig in there,
You're gonna
you're
match
gonna
it.
get the black and blue trailer. If we give you a PB&J Ace jig, you're gonna get a PB&J trailer. If you get a white Punisher swim jig, you're gonna get probably a white cleanup craw. So, yeah, it's a cool deal if you want to get.
Call it the perfect appetizer
All right,
to a great jig company.
I'll just change the name.
Appetizer. Untamed appetizer.
Mm-hmm.
That Ace jig, if you mess, so like if I'm approaching shallow water, like right now,
Right now, like,
I'm going USA/Japan on them.
Yeah.
Me and my partner. If
Yeah.
Dane and I are going down the line, I really like throwing the poop lately, but I'm gonna have the guy in front skipping an Untamed Tackle 3/8 or half ounce jig, and I'm gonna have the guy in the back throwing a gravity JDM bait of your choice, whether it be C scat, B scat,
Yep.
D scat, Ema-Kamish, whatever. I mean, that's a perfect one too.
Yeah.
That Ace jig, I think. Jigs are tough, right? Because everybody has their favorite jig, but it seems like when jigs come out, it's the same jig,
yeah,
just with a different label on it, different maybe hook brand.
everybody's got their favorite jig, but I think this one has potential to actually be your favorite jig.
I mean, the fisheries aren't any less pressured. You've got a finesse skirt, which
Yeah.
is proven to get more bites. You've got a short, wide hook gap. You've got the perfect weed guard for fluorocarbon or braid. You've got the perfect head design. I like the recess line tie too.
Yep.
It's a nice touch in both Ace and Breacher. But, dude, you have to, like, flipping this thing around. That have them shiitakes been selling decent?
Yeah, the chartreuse ones are really taking off because hard to find a chartreuse mushroom head anymore. Nobody's really making them.
Well, Outcast discontinued their chartreuse mushroom jigworm head.
Yep.
You got people doing the Ned head, which the shiitake head's kind of like I would say it's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid. It's a 2-aught, right? So it's between that 3-aught typical mushroom head and a 1-aught Ned head. So it's between the two, right? Like,
yes, to me it's like it resembles the perfect jigworm head. To me, it's the perfect jigworm head that you could also use for a Ned. And dude, Mike's been strolling that shiitake head actually too, and getting bit, but
it's got the quad keeper too.
Yeah.
I like that quad keeper a lot.
Did I ever tell you my strolling trick with the eye guard? So that.
Do you trailer your big outboard? Then you need the MyWedge motor support. MyWedge keeps even the heaviest motors safe and secure on the trailer. And talk about easy. Up with the motor, on with the MyWedge, back down, ready to roll. And MyWedge is built to last. It won't rot, it won't split, it won't fail. Guaranteed. Pop on MyWedge centering clips for lateral stability and you're good to go. MyWedge, security in a snap. To order yours, go to mywedge.com.
That decoy eye guard, that snow cone deal, that Northland Smeltinator jig. Eye guard over it. That knot can't slide forward.
Yeah.
Strolling it makes it roll when you eye guard it.
Yep.
It's weird because that Smeltinator is known for being more of a tail shaking bait, right? But been messing with it with the eye guard, and you can get more roll out of it when you can keep that head up. And in the fall, I think, well, shit, fall's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Are you stocked up for fall?
We
stuff?
sure are. We sure are.
Do you want to get into some fall stuff and kind of wrap this up? Or anything else you want to get off your chest, Ross? You don't get the microphone enough.
No.
So we got to let you enjoy it while you got it.
There's one more restock coming through that's going to be a tough get. Again, podcast release time. So grab that wattle bats there behind you. I just restocked those. That other one, the black one there, right there.
Oh,
that's like my fall-time square bill.
really?
Have you thrown that before?
So I bought one and I haven't thrown it, but I remember Jay told me cold water.
Yeah, spring and late fall, like that thing is going to, like, that should be in your boat.
Dude, this color is sick.
That's got the best hunting action of any square bill on the market. No question.
I threw it off the dock and it's like it's not something you can burn.
Yeah.
It's something that cold water
Yep.
is gonna be. Dude, yeah, you're.
So those are going to be, again, podcast release. Those will be in stock. Imakatsu Wattle Bats Square Bill. It's got that little metal blade on the back too, so adds a little bit of flash. I think that contributes to the hunting action a little bit.
That thing's sexy.
It's choked.
Jay said he caught like a 3.5 off the dock in like early spring.
Yeah, so I
fishing for bluegills.
This is an original Jay story. We first opened up. Jay wasn't sold on like the Japanese stuff. He also said something along the lines of nobody's gonna pay $22 for a crankbait. So this was like April 20th or something, or May 1st, whatever it was. And it was before a fishing opener. So I got these, and I was like, Jay, this is the best early spring square bill money can buy.
Yep.
I'll give it to him. He wasn't purposely trying to catch a bass out of season. He wanted to cast it off the end of the dock to see, because I was telling him about the hunting action.
Yep.
So he casts it out there. First cast, he hooks like a 3.5 pounder.
Down down the rabbit hole Jay
first
goes.
cast before he even got to like get the full like hunting experience with the wattle bats. Throws it back. He's like, okay, now it's like that was not on purpose. I just want to see what the bait does. Second cast, hooks a 4-pounder. So, yeah, this is like his number one fall time early
Cold-blooded.
square bill now. So this is what actually sold Jay on Japanese baits, and now he's like, that's all he throws. But those will once we get those back in stock, they will sell out in very, very short time.
Get you some waddle. Well, I'm excited for fall season, blade bait season, swim bait season.
Yeah.
That Signal Devil Swimmer.
Yep.
Cold water, blub, blub, blub,
Yeah.
blub, blub. Gill Swimmer, Bass Mafia swim bait
Yep.
season.
I've got
That Nishina heavyweight.
Yep. There's a little bit of sadness going on too.
Yeah?
So that Biovex Patas,
Oh, that's the sneaky spinning rod blade bait?
yeah. Like late season. Like
Mine's-
late season.
My favorite spinning rod blade bait besides was my favorite, and then you introduced me to the OSP Override, and now
Yeah.
it's tied with the Pattis.
Yeah. So the good news is OSP Override available. The bad news is Patas from Biovex no longer available ever again.
So by the time this releases,
We
how many
have
of these you got?
hundreds in stock right now.
Hundreds.
I just bought every last one from Biovex that I could get.
Dude, I'm so happy you did that.
But they are no longer shipping to the U.S. because they don't have a big enough market here. That's just not worth it to them.
I mean, you're doing the North Country
Yeah.
a hell of a favor getting
Yeah.
them Pattis.
So I literally, we are the only tackle store in the U.S. that has them, and we've got hundreds of them right now. But once they're gone, I will not be able to get them back in stock. And there's not an amount of hunting and like scouring that can be done. They will not be back. So if you want Biovex Patas, or in fact any like Biovex product, like the Hyper 7,
So this is Biovex. Anything you're saying.
anything Biovex will
The
no
Hyper
longer be
7's
available.
a sneaky one.
They will not be available in U.S. Like even if I scour and bag, like no, they're gonna be gone. So like the Hyper 7, even we've got probably over 100 of these in stock in a bunch of different colors. So get them while you can.
Yeah,
They will be gone.
they will be gone. On Earth as it is in heaven.
But those are probably my two favorites from Biovex for fall.
Honestly, the Pattis is so if you're new to blade bait fishing, fall, if your water temps are below, 50, if they're below 55 is when it kind of starts, but ideally below 50 degrees. When it gets tough, when you got to fish really slow, it's one of the last reaction baits that you can throw and get a bite on and be efficient in the water. It seems like if you're not, like, it's the only bait that you can move at this time of year when it works. So if you're new to blade bait fishing, it's not a lipless crankbait. You're fishing it much so more like a jig, and you're fishing it really slow. And you're just barely lifting that thing enough to make it vibrate and then letting it fall. And you're kind of varying your cadence with that and letting the fish tell you what they want. But you're going to notice as the water temps get colder and colder, they're going to want the blade bait slower and slower and slower. And I'll give you an example. I've had days on this Pattis and on, other blade baits where you're lifting it up just a little bit and letting it sit on the bottom for 5 to 6 seconds, dead sticking it, and they will pick that piece of metal up off the bottom. So, I think blade bait is a sneaky little fall trick that a lot of guys don't maybe play with enough. And I think you've got a badass blade bait selection at Waypoint Angler Supply.
Yeah.
So, if you're looking to get into blade bait in this fall, okay, the Biovex Pattis, homie, you ain't going to get any more of these ever. Okay, there's like 100 left. Okay, so get you some Pattises while you can for this fall on a spinning pole, it's perfect. That's what you need on your spinning pole, right? And then other blade baits, OSP Override is a killer one, 1/2 ounce on the bait caster. The lighter ones on spinning poles.
G-Crack Bombay.
Okay, I have not
Good
played
one.
with that one.
That's a
G-Crack
good one.
Bombay.
Yep.
The Nishine Simcoe 75 heavyweight is my sleeper favorite one in dirty water on Dane's chicken rod. It thing casted a mile and it's super efficient in cold dirty water. Highly recommend. Got jerk baits for fall too. It's killer time to throw a jerk and plug.
I like the that Duo 110 SP.
I think that's the sleepiest jerk bait on the market. In fact, it's like the
They
one.
don't get enough love.
They don't, dude. And I'm okay with it, to be honest.
Yeah.
As a business owner, I understand why you want them to get more love, but that's one I've been just kind of keeping to myself. But you're right. The bigger one, I think, is the sleepiest one. And a lot of companies, when you get a bigger jerk bait, you lose a lot of action. And that Duo one, for whatever reason, like that 120, 130 SP,
Yep.
like on them short twitches, it's pow, 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 pow. And I think on them pressured smallmouth, kind of like you saw on Leech Lake this year, aside from Fothergill, like those guys who busted them on Leech were strolling bigger minnows, like a 6-inch minnow, right? And I think it's the same thing with that.
Yep.
Like, I think you can get
Same
more
with
bites
that.
doing that.
Like that Nishine. I think that's
Bigger
a
one.
120 also.
And that's like one that I think guys who get it, it's kind of like the scat, like you were saying, right? Like guys that get it, buy more.
Yep.
Guys that, like, you have confidence. Jerk baits are tough, right? Because it's a bait that sometimes you got to throw the shit out of it to get bit. So it's like you want to have confidence in it, right?
You
So I
can't
think
throw it for 2 casts and then put it away like they historically have been doing.
and I'm subject to that, but I encourage somebody to pick up a Duo Realis 120, 130 SP from Waypoint Angler Supply this fall and keep it in your hand and see what the hell happens.
Kylie, that's like his number one fall bait is that 120.
Frick yeah, it is. Suspends good. It's big. It's loud. I mean,
I think him and Charlie throw that thing like all fall.
dude, it makes sense. I mean, between that, like on lakes by my house, them largemouth, between if the water's clear, an SP, or else like that's when I throw that like how dangerous bigger swim baits. Like they want a bigger meal in the fall. So get you some blade baits, some bigger meals, some wattle bats, dude. I know just to like throw. I got a black wattle bat. I got one.
Yeah,
black
we got
wattle
black
bat.
coming. We got the female gill coming. We got, I think there's a straight chartreuse. There's a green. There's all kinds of nice colors on the way.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That you can't beat that female gill color though. It's beautiful. It's just art.
Dude, that is beautiful. It reminds me of like one of my OSP MRs that's my favorite. I was going to ask you, now that you've been messing with Dane's rods, what's your favorite rod
Tequila
Dane
shot.
makes? Really?
Yeah.
For drop shotting?
I think I've had this conversation with you and him separately, but I like it for drop shotting in the weeds. And is it you that likes it for that, or is it him? It's one of you doesn't like it for that, one of you does.
He doesn't. I do. I like it for strolling and D-shotting. Like a lighter weight, though.
Yep.
You seem to like it on a big weight. That is surprising to me. But I
3/8
respect it.
Yeah, 3/8 and a half.
To me, it's a 3/16 tops. Like my light drop
I
shot.
don't think I own a 3/16 drop shot weight.
Really? See, that's so fascinating.
But like
A drop shot is not just a drop shot.
so like you can have it any drop shot rod, right? Like any 7-foot medium light, 6'10" medium light, go for it.
Yep.
But when you put that tequila shot and you go drop shot with it, you can feel everything. You get a better like hook set with it. It's different because like it's got backbone, but it's also like it's tapered properly to where, I don't know, it's just perfect.
It's, you notice like there's like it's got the tip like of a drop shot, but when you set, it's almost like there's a secondary.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the magic with
It's hard
it.
to explain because it's like, how did he do that? Because like every other drop shot rod, it just kind of like bends in half in a way.
Yep.
And his doesn't do that.
It's got a dual taper to it almost, and
Yeah.
I think it's perfect for same drop shot and that minnow shaking because you get that tip, and then when you set, it's not too stiff, but you get that backbone. And I guess for some people, some people like a lot more backbone for the grass, and that's the only surprising thing that some people like a lot more meat in the grass with their drop shot. So I guess everything's preference, right?
Yeah.
I like
It can handle grass though.
it can. And I think a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people look at me and some of my setups and they probably think I'm like crazy, right? Like my setups are way different than some other people. Like I'm pretty much all fluorocarbon on my baitcasters or straight braid. I don't do leaders except on my topwaters. Then I'll do braid to mono.
Yep.
But other than that, and then spinning, I'm all leader.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wish I threw 8-pound straight fluoro more, because I think there is something to like shaking a jig worm on straight fluoro.
Have you thrown that Mastiff FC yet? That Shimano? It's over on your left.
No, but I've been digging.
Or that.
I've been digging this. That Shimano All Might I played with. I think you need to just size up on that stuff. That Seagar.
It was there. It's probably fell in the crack of death.
No, yeah, it did.
That we've been playing with it since it was like before it was announced. We were given samples. Unbelievable. Like lasts forever. Doesn't seem to have hardly much for memory at all.
That's a big
It's
deal.
like a Brazex where it's super like you can't break it off. But it's subtle.
Noted.
Great line.
So Shimano Mastiff FC. I'll have to try some, dude.
It's like
Is it cast pretty good?
it's
Pretty
like
limp?
everything you want in a fluorocarbon, like literally,
Low key, sneaky.
like everything. That's my favorite, no questions asked. I know it's Eric's favorite. I know it's Jay's favorite, and I'm pretty sure Willie's using that on all his leaders. So yeah, we're big fans of that Mastiff.
Noted. Well, that's a sneaky one. Get it while you can, folks. I've been digging this on the hair jig.
Have you been using that?
On the hair jig rod, I really like it.
So-
Anything you need to throw far.
Guys
Or
are really liking
shaking a
that
minnow.
for hair jigs, for shaking minnows. They're actually, I think that's the 11-pound size, right?
Yeah, this is that Verivis.
Guys
to me,
are-
it's the sneakiest JDM
They're using
company.
that for like you get the smaller size for the hair and all that, but
Yep.
that one you can do anything with. Like you can throw drop shots in the weeds with that.
Yep. I haven't played with the heavier sizes, so
That's an awesome all-around braid. Like real good. Good. You can't be you can't pull a typical bass fisherman and be afraid that it says trout on the front. You
Dude.
got to get past it. It's fine.
dude, you throwing a fly, you're throwing a finesse. Like Verivis is like a sneaky Japanese company. That ball head, Kyoiton head,
Kyokutin, yeah.
Kyoiton. Like Verivis, when you see the name Verivis, like don't close your eyes. It's freaking good stuff. So
They've got the Super Trout Advance. They've got just a normal kind of do-it-all braid, and then they've got they've actually got a fluorocarbon leader we've got in store now that's been doing quite well. I think it's a 25 or 50 yards.
oh, dude, their leaders are that leader line, that shock leader.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. If you're throwing like if you're messing with really light line, like really light line, like that, if you're getting tying a 5 or 6, 7, 8 pound leader, that stuff is tough on zebra mussels, stuff like that. Like those leaders were just, if you think about like anybody who's think about trout, dude, when you're when you're throwing a fluorocarbon in a trout stream,
Yeah.
if we're talking about like bass fishermen worried that it says trout on it, if it says trout, that means it's getting drug on a bunch of like currents dragging it over rubble.
Well, and
Like-
like to me, like trout are picky, right? So if a trout will eat your bait that's on your line, a bass will, I would
Right.
say. I mean, it's
The low-key thing about that Varivis leader material is the diameter.
yeah,
Like, if you're wanting to up your strength without sacrificing diameter, it's like you're throwing your 10-pound fluorocarbon leader
yeah.
is the equivalent to your 7-pound standard
Yeah.
leader. So
No, I'm
if you're on Mille Lacs fishing shit like that, that matters.
I'm really happy we brought Varivas in. That's been a one of the good business decisions that we've made.
Dude, I think they make awesome stuff.
Everything they
Like,
make.
Everything they make absolutely crushes.
I'm gonna bring in that. I think it's called Absolute Fluorocarbon.
I haven't played with that,
Varivas.
but
I'm gonna bring that in because it's supposed to be really good for throwing the Quakey full cast. It's recommended.
oh,
I think it's called Absolute.
yeah,
Bringing that
would-
in because it's made to throw Quakies. So
Interesting.
It holds
Like-
up.
Gotcha. So it's probably rigid, like almost saltwater esque.
It is called Absolute. So yeah, that's coming.
Cool.
It was recommended to me for throwing specifically throwing full cast.
Interesting.
So that intrigued me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Dude, I think this one of the sleepier techniques I learned this year. And you see, like, that's a big Japanese craze. It's a big, like, California craze. And now you've got American companies knocking it off, like Great Lakes Tackle and whatnot. But that, I don't know, people call it the Cindy rig. But, so Dane's hair rod, right? It's designed for throwing that marabou. I remember playing with that little sweeper in the tank, that Raid little sweeper, and I was like, man, that's beautiful on a drop shot. And it's tough to test a jig head in your tank, and really understand it.
Yeah.
But like, after smallmouth fishing this year, Dane and I figured out, like on his hair jig rod, if you're just combing flats, throwing that little sweeper on either that 16th or 3/32 ounce either Vespa head Ryugi or that decoy little ball head is perfect size. It's getting or a Kitech ball head.
Yeah.
It's getting the right weight with the right size hook for that. But you take Dane's rod, you whip it as far as a hair jig, and you reel it just like a hair jig.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like it's deadlier than marabou.
So
Like pert near.
I
I
haven't.
think it's deadlier.
I haven't thrown that on a plain ball head. I've only thrown it on that fish arrow wheel head,
Okay, I
little
could see it
prop.
being really good on that too.
and then Bass Mooch. They just came out with I think it's called a Bass Mooch prop head,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that paired up real nicely with it.
Dude, I
Little
bet it's
spinny dude
great on
the
a prop
front.
head.
Yeah,
I bet that works great.
yeah. Connor O'Connor actually told me about that.
Dude, I bet that's... I mean, I like props. I mean,
Yeah.
I like them props. And, but, like, on Dane's hair rod, when you're dealing with fish that, like, a smallmouth is so much easier to catch 100 feet away from your boat than, 50 feet or 30 feet.
Yep.
Especially if we're talking about a lake like Mille Lacs or a lake that they see boats, pretty frequently. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm curious to see how that little minnow on that hair jig rod craze takes off, and I guess how many little sweepers have you sold?
Yeah.
And am I going to be able to get those in the future? Because I'm going to need some of those.
If you come back in the office and ask, I might have a pack set aside.
Are you
for it.
sold out right now?
No, we got them.
Okay.
But maybe now they'll go home with me, since you said that.
Well, hopefully we can get more. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing is like, I don't know. The thing is that I feel like I figure out stuff and don't have time to fully exploit it, if that makes sense.
We don't have enough season.
Totally, and I don't have enough. Like, I'm gone to the next thing, like trying to figure out the next. Like, I feel like I'm slow at the tournament side of it. I felt a little slow this year, but I feel like each tournament I've fished, I've figured out a deal and just hadn't quite figured out how to. If you gave me 2 more days, I feel like I could unlock the lake with it, type of thing, you know. Mm-hmm. But, dude, that's cool. I like that. Can't believe Pattises are no longer. There's like a secret square bill they make too. Do you got any of those left? I heard those are cool.
That's the Amp shallow crank.
What is up with that thing? Because I never even heard of it, and then you said like people buy the shit out of it.
It's one of our. It probably is another thing that's under top sellers on our website, and we ship it down south a lot.
Okay.
Super tight wobble. A lot of actually colors that you don't really see in a square bill very often. It's
interesting.
It's different. Yeah, another thing that we'll not be able to get anymore. But I did just buy a bunch of those, so those will be available until they're gone. So,
how about the BFS thing, dude? That's something that I think I want to talk about because I think for a lot of people it's intimidating or it's confusing.
yeah.
And I feel like we haven't got into it, and I feel like when we have, I didn't know what I know now.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard some shit about, like, Matt Holwig was telling me with his BFS setup, he could cast a hair jig almost as far or farther than than a spinning setup. And I was like,
Yep. So
that's unheard of with the bait caster and a 16th ounce marabou jig.
Yeah.
So we need to air some stuff out on that for sure before we roll
I
off.
actually got with Dane at the beginning of the year, and he introduced some BFS rods for us, and we did a bunch of experimenting. And to what you were saying, I special ordered a 7.6 hair jig blank to put on a BFS rod for Matt Plouffe, because he wanted to do what you just said. He wanted to throw hair on a bait caster. He said that thing slings it. So we actually stocked those now. We sold a bunch. So we've got a 7.6 hair jig blank on a BFS rod, and then he actually made me a couple 6.8. I think that's a 6.8 light, if I'm not mistaken.
8th to 9/16 ounce rating.
Yeah. So that
Bushido blank.
6.8, I like for throwing raid level pings. That little finessey
It's a badass.
crankbait.
Yep.
Drop shot. Like if you're flipping flick a drop shot into the weeds, you can throw a Ned rig on it. You can get like just little baits if you want to get an accurate cast out of. That's the deal. And then that reel, that's an arc
that one.
gravity BFS, and it's got a sick drag on
Ooh,
it.
hold that by the mic again. Oh, can you?
Like if
So
you
that's
want
a
to go,
bait caster.
if you want to go smallmouth, and like you can dial that reel in and fight them.
On a bee wagon, dude.
It's an outstanding reel, seriously.
On a bee dog. You don't gotta be no sissy. Get you a bee dog for that drop shot.
Arc gravity BFS.
Could you throw the tofu on this?
100%. Yeah.
Man, dude, this arc. Okay, so different. You guys carry a variety of BFS reels, right? This arc one seems like
That's a price point reel. It's like 100. I believe they're $150.
okay.
But it performs well beyond that.
Sure.
We also have, options from Shimano. We've got the Corrado BFS. We've got SLX BFS. All the way up to like an Aldebaran BFS. And we've sold like Aldebaran BFS. We've paired them up with like an NRX inshore 6.6 medium light. I mean, we sell those like hotcakes.
Crazy.
You can really get into whatever you want in a BFS setup. It just depends. Everybody throws BFS differently, different techniques, different baits, how they want that rod to bend, taper. I mean, there's so many different ways you can BFS. I mean, Plouf's a good example. He wanted a 7.6. I'm like, why would you want a 7.6? He's like, because I want to throw hair on a baitcaster and be accurate. It was a great idea.
So, like, the Japanese BFS setups, are those generally 6'3"?
They're like 6 foot, 6'3", 6'2".
Got it.
Light.
Yep.
Yeah, those are kind of and a lot of them are 2-piece even, so they can go shore banging.
I like
Teal's Bass Galaxy is now offering intergalactic merchandise. That's right. We got apparel now, baby. Check out our website. We got a variety of apparel, hats, bucket hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts, all the finest goods. So stop on our website, tealsbassgalaxy.com, click on the apparel tab, and start looking good, baby.
So if you were to get, let's say, you're just getting into BFSing, you wanted a setup that you could kind of do a little bit of everything
That
with.
one. 100%.
So we're talking about
I'd
the
get the
Vasilka
arc
fishing.
rod and the Vasilka rod, or the arc reel and the Vasilka rod.
So this is an arc gravity BFS. Okay.
$150 price point, and that's a Dane. That's a tournament series 6.8.
6'8". Bushido. Does he call it? Just call it the 6'8" BFS.
He just calls it a 6.8 BFS. Yeah, and we've got them online. We've got anything from a 6.8 medium light to a 6.10 light. That's kind of a trout BFS. Like if you want to go throw some spoons in streams, we've got those. If you want to do the Matt Plouffe thing and go throw Wilfred's Tiny Clucker, or if you want to go through Marabou, get the Matt Plouffe 7.6 medium light hair jig blank on a BFS rod. We've got those. There's some price point options from Phoenix rods. They've got 6.8, 7 foot, and 7.4. Those sell like crazy. You can get an NRX, like I said, inshore series, 6.6 light. They're awesome. I think it comes down to what technique and what rod matches what you wanted, because everybody's different.
Everybody's different, and I think it's just, if you're new to that game, it's a little intimidating. The concept of trying to throw something like that light on a baitcaster, to me, was the most intimidating part.
Yeah.
But everybody who's used these things tells me it's probably their most fun setup to fish with. So
that would be my starter one, but it doesn't mean it's a starter rod and reel. That's where I start out, but that's a performance level combo there.
So when you, like, from a reel standpoint, what do you gain when you go up in price point? Like, for a BFS setup, are you gaining distance? Are you gaining longevity? Are you gaining backlash ability?
Yeah, probably longevity, and able to tune that thing so you can cast whatever you want, like the lightest weight you want.
So versatility and longevity is
but I mean,
what?
it all depends too on, like, you got to have the right line. Like, I'm throwing Faribault Super Trout if it's braid.
So you see most guys doing braid to a leader or straight
floral mainly.
That makes sense.
There's applications where I like to have braid too, but
I feel like you could make a pretty nice baby scat rod out of this, or OSP spin nuts.
Eric was throwing a jointed claw 70 this spring for crappies. We made a video.
Oh, that's right. A little baby glide.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was really cool.
Fishing's such a beautiful sport, bro.
Yeah.
It's what you make it. The world is a weird place right now. It's a weird time to be alive, and there's no better time to dive into the depths of bass fishing at Waypoint Angler Supply.
Yep.
The ping.
Level
I want to
ping.
throw the ping. But
You haven't thrown the ping yet?
I can't throw everything, man. Oh man.
I'll be throwing that this weekend.
I gotta pick my adventures wisely, Ross. I want to throw the ping, dude. I think baby cranking is the sleepiest.
Yeah.
Like on the St. Croix, I was throwing a baby crank. They're on baby stuff on the St. Croix. That's low key. I think the baby crank. There was a day in practice where I go down the bank with the baby OSP crank I bought from you, and I get a 3 or 4 pounder.
Yeah.
On it. Like I was getting big bites on it, like downsizing to a micro crank. Just because I think they just don't see it.
Yeah.
It's easy to eat.
We were throwing little BFS jerk baits this spring too for crappie. Like the Duo Ryuki spearhead.
Yeah.
I've got one sitting over there, like this big.
I bought
big.
one. I bought one for Hartwell from Baby Shad.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with those tiny hooks on that and on that ping. They're dangerous.
And light wire hooks, yeah.
Yeah, dangerous.
Super.
Better have
dangerous.
some players.
I think what's crazy to me is what you're seeing in the marketplace is like when the fishing gets tough, it's either seems to be something really small or really big, and that seems to be what we see coming from Japan. If not, it's like a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see that chatterbait / buzzbait? AK Buzz.
Yeah.
That thing, like, you just get weird, cool grass piece.
Yeah.
Like, just cool shit, man.
Yeah.
Well, Ross, I just want you to know that I'm proud of you. I'm grateful for you as a friend. And thankful for all your support with the podcast and stuff. And I guess I want people to know that small business and the American dream is alive. And you don't just have to support a small business. You can support yourself with the finest fish and tackle north of the Mason-Dixon. And if you haven't been to Waypoint Angler Supply, highly encourage you to make the trip out there. See it for yourself. Take the trip to Mecca, if you will. And if you haven't visited their website, if you want to save some gas money and use it all on tackle, I understand that too. But if you haven't visited their website, highly encourage that as well. They're always dropping new stuff, so stay tuned. And I hope you got to know Ross a little better because he's one of the best dudes I know. And we're lucky to have him here in the state of Minnesota running badass tackle shop, dude.
Yeah.
So thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude, it is intergalactic. I want a BFSF kind of now. It's kind of like
Everything's got a price.
Oh, I know, right? Christmas list. You can just listen to that.
Beautiful.
It's a big one. 4-pounder. Thank you, Ross.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Seals Bass Galaxy. Go ahead. Skull Bikes, baby. Sam Darnold taking us home, baby. Taking us to the promised land. Skull Bikes. Get a BFS set up. So, Teals Bass Galaxy checking in. Checking out.